I'd like to call this meeting of the Woodstock Village Board of Trustees to order on September 12th at 6:30 p.m. Quick reminder for anybody who hasn't been here or has been here and doesn't remember, the meeting agendas are all available online, or if you're here, you can scan the QR code and you can have it pop up on your phone. And then we loosely use Rosenberg's Rules of Order, which are also up here, and there's copies for everybody. So if you're looking for who's talking, what the motions are, roughly it's right there. So the first thing today is the Finance Committee interview, and that's for Renee Hebert. Renee, are you here?
Just going online.
Okay. Well, she jumps on. Yeah, feel free. We can start next to the. Yes, I believe so. Nikki, she knows she was supposed to be here, right? Or you let her know?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. Can you let us know if she comes in? Just feel free to interrupt us.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda is citizen comments. Are there any citizen comments in the room? Are there any citizen comments online? Okay. Then we will move to the next item on the agenda, which is additions to and deletions from the posted agenda. I have a couple. People have been on vacation. We're all playing catch up, so we're adding a couple of things. One of the things we're going to add is a conversation about the Masonic Lodge haunted house. We will put that, I'm going to put that right, what time is it? I'll put that actually, we'll do that very quickly after next, because I know that there's a time constraint there. The next item we're adding is the Eastern States Cup application, which all the trustees should have. We'll put that under permits after use of the green. We also have Philip Newberg is nominated to the Historic Preservation Committee. We can put that after the police chief's report. And then we had a request from Sustainable Woodstock to put up a banner. We can put that again with permits. So we'll put that after the Eastern States permit request. Are there any other additions or deletions to the agenda?
Just two quick things.
Please.
One, the creation of subcommittees. I just want to change that to creation of designation of select board members for.
Okay.
Just because we're going to get away from subcommittees.
Okay. Designation of select of. Say it one more time.
Designatees for special projects.
Okay, designatees. Okay, so that's under new business, number 3.
Number 3, yes.
Says creation of subcommittees, cross out please subcommittees and change it to designatees.
Yes.
Which Eric assures me is a word.
Designees.
Designees. Thank you. Turns out Eric was making up words. Designees. N-E-E-S.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
And then Police Chief Swanson asked if he could go from his general report to the discussion on purchasing a vehicle.
Yeah.
He, I think, had a flow he had liked, so he didn't want.
We want to, don't want to mess with your flow.
Want to keep it in my.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine.
But that's okay for the board.
Yes, is that okay with the board?
Yes.
Okay with that? Okay. So we will move that up to under general report and before Philip Newberg. Okay. Any other additions or deletions? Okay, nothing online. Okay, with that, we'll move to the manager's report. Eric.
Just a few things. One, the chair and myself met with Beth from the chamber to talk about sidewalk sale and ways we can ensure that PDA applying going forward. It was a very good first conversation we had. Hopefully one of many, just make sure the sidewalk sale can continue and businesses can have that extra income, but also make sure it's accessible for all residents and tourists at the same time. So I want to thank Beth for sitting down with us and then happy to talk to us, and hopefully going forward, we'll have a better solution for everyone. I want to announce a new hire for the village DPW. Nate McCork, he started last week. So he's on week 2, I believe. So far, nothing but good reviews. Works well over there so far. So right now DPW is fully staffed, which is the first time in a while. So we're very excited about that.
And what is he doing?
So he's gonna be in the village. So
Okay.
yeah, he's the second person in the village right now.
Oh, nice, okay. So all of the above is what he's doing.
Yes.
What was his name?
Nate McCork or Mackay, I don't know what I'm pronouncing it correctly. If I can get the full name for you, yeah. I believe he's a Woodstock resident as well. And DPW is still doing work on fixing the roads. The big concern now is getting the roads done before the weather turns. So they're still going back. So as we all know, with FEMA, the first thing you have to do is make the roads passable. You can't do any permanent work at first. So they fixed all the roads. Now they're in the process of going back and trying to mix all the roads fixed permanently instead of the temporary fix they had to do originally. So they're working on that still constantly, along with other things that come up, on the day-to-day as well. Finally, due to my error, the next time trustees meet for the scheduled meeting in October, we'll have started the budget process already for FY25. We are going to try to schedule a joint meeting with the trustees and the select board in the coming week or two to kind of kick off the budget season. I know it's relatively early, but I feel the more time we have, the better decisions we can make as a whole collective on the budget. So I'll be working with both chairs to kind of find a good time for everyone. And in that meeting, it's my goal to have the department heads come in front of the boards, kind of discuss what the department has done over the last year, what their goals are for the next year, what some of the asks may be, and kind of also what they see for the future of the department going forward. Yes.
Could we have that joint meeting in the evening?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's a good way for all the boards and the department heads to kind of get together at the start of this. And it's my hope that after the meeting, then the boards can kind of lay out their budget priorities for myself and the department heads, so then we can go back and fix the budgets, put together for the way the boards want to see things going, from the tax rates increase to revenue changes to what the boards want to see in the departments and work they do throughout the year. So it's a good way to kind of get us all together in the same room, have a discussion before we come back with actual numbers. That's what I have for the general reports. Financial reports were sent to everyone. If anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer it. I think the biggest question, if it comes up, will probably just be the salaries and wages under the police administration. And again, that's due to the prior chief leaving and the payout that had to happen. We do have money in the capital reserves to offset that, which we'll use at the end of the year if we need to. But we like to wait and hold that money back. We don't have to use it for other emergencies if need be.
So there's so many zeros on here. Is this because we're not up yet?
Yeah, so one of the issues, especially on the revenue side, is just because we're short-staffed with our staff accountant position being open, that all the receipts aren't coming in as quickly as possible, as normally would. They're not being processed as much as they would be.
I mean, zero for parking meter revenue and so forth.
Yeah, so I know the parking meter we had a question on it, so we waited till the consultant we're using came in last week, and they gave us guidance on how to do it. So we process hopefully this week.
So October's is likely to be more complete.
It should be, yes.
Yeah, you already answered my biggest question. Police one.
Trustees, do you have any other questions?
No.
Eric, do you have anything else?
I think that's it right now.
Okay. In that case, let's move on to the police chief's report. Joe, come on up.
Thank you. Hey, Bill, how are you? Color. Looks very good.
Good.
We use the ink.
Hey,
I'm not always that.
How much is that costing us?
exuberant.
saved us money.
So. Before we dive into some of this. Just have a couple of updates. So according to my best interpretation of, as I described last month, this kind of bad data. We had 220 stops in August with 148 tickets. That's 7 stops a day and 4 to 5 tickets a day. But so when I was trying to compare to 2022 to see like how we're doing, I noticed that for the 2022 numbers, I found a ticket number that was assigned to 2 cases. That search resulted in 2 cases, one being a Matt Freitas foot patrol and one being a Stephen Neely ticket. When I went to both cases, that ticket number and that ticket was not in the foot patrol at all. So I don't know why it double generated.
Oh.
So I've asked Corporal Murphy to kind of look into this to see if it's on our end where we're just like the way it's getting entered, or if it's in the way the program, in the code of the program, the way it's searching like archived files, which is what I suspect. But looking at these 148, it looks like real tickets to real people for real stops, or really in Woodstock. But I am pleased with these numbers. I mean, this is pretty active police work.
What were most of those stops?
Did
You break it out?
I don't have it broken down. It's from what I'm seeing on a day-to-day basis is speeding, cell phone, some license insurance, and like suspended license, that sort of thing.
Are there any particular streets in the village that the speeding is occurring on more than others right now, Joe?
Generally, it'll be on that Woodstock road stretch between Maple Fields and Ace Hardware. This kind of perennial. But we have focused our efforts on some of the other streets like South Road. I saw Officer Charlton out there this morning when I was bringing a car down to Keaton Valley Garage, and he was running radar. So
Oh, yeah, I just saw him out there.
He was on River Street this morning too. I think I drove by.
yeah, and today Officer Goodrich came in he was doing Governor's Highway Safety, so they've been pretty active. Like on today as an example. For meters.
And so one thing too, and correct me if I'm wrong, Chief, but I think when this came up with Chief Bush, one of the issues we have with data is the ticket is where the person's pulled over, not where the infraction happened.
Right.
So if they're on Central Street speeding, they get pulled over on Elm Street, the ticket will say Elm Street. So that's where they give them the ticket. So sometimes information is not as accurate as we want. So the data doesn't give us what we really want.
Because when you call in a traffic stop, you give the dispatcher your location.
Yeah.
Which is where you are. So if you need backup, they know where to send backup. And that's how the case gets created. But you might enter the location of the offense on the ticket, but it doesn't make it into the case. It just is part of the court record.
Yeah. And on the area you said where more stops are happening
Yeah.
than others, is that both coming and going, or more in one direction? Curious.
I think generally
Are people speeding up as they leave the town, or?
it's. I would say like 1/3 leaving, 2/3 coming in.
2/3 going in?
When the cars are speeding leaving, it's because they're fed up with waiting for the crosswalks. They just want to get.
Uh-huh. Yes. Okay, thank you.
So for the kiosks for August, I have 5,067 and 15 cents. For meters for August, I have 5,721 and 93 cents. And for park mobile, I have 7,356 and 75 cents. For a grand total of 18,145 and 83. Which, do you want the 22 and 21 numbers? Yeah, so for August of 22, it was 17,201 and 75 cents. And for August of 21, it was 16,260 and 76 cents. So we're trending up, so that's nice to see. Our Coffee with a Cop. So October 4th is National Coffee with a Cop Day. And so I've partnered with the Homestead to do Coffee with a Cop there. And they have invited Merton's House and the Woodstock Terrace to have coffee with the various residents that wish to attend.
Chief, have you ever considered making it
Coffee with the chief?
instead of coffee with?
Robbie called it Coffee with the Chief.
Yeah.
The national program is Coffee with a Cop. I'm fine with either. If you want to give me direction, I'll do it. The graphics that I can get online are Coffee with a Cop.
We can.
I really think chief would be better.
Chief is better?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Oh, no.
I'm happy to, that's just what I was running with,
Good
but
feedback I've gotten.
okay. Absolutely.
Yeah, send me your graphic. I'll see if I can fix it.
Okay.
I'll do my best.
I'll do some more Microsoft Paint.
Exactly. I've got Canva.
So over the weekend, Officer Tarleton responded to a medical call. He arrived ahead of Woodstock Fire, and he found an unresponsive patient. He began CPR, working with fire, who arrived moments later. They administered high performance CPR and regained the patient's pulse. They delivered the patient to the hospital alive. And so Officer Tarleton's dedication to duty and quick actions resulted in a life saved.
Nice.
Yeah, so he called me that, and I was very proud of him.
When
Uh,
was that? Over the weekend?
That was, yeah, I want to say it was Sunday afternoon, like Sunday evening.
Oh, wow. Was that in town or village?
That was out in the town. Yeah, because he was, on duty and on the streets. He was able to drive, a few minutes earlier and get the scene assessed and get CPR started.
Are all of your officers all,
We're all CPR first aid certified.
okay,
Some of us are also EMTs. But all of us are CPR first aid certified. So as you see, as I handed out,
well, congratulate them. I mean, thank you.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah, that's amazing.
you guys wanna, since you're here,
Nikki, can you let me share my screen?
Yes, please.
Should be good.
Thank you. Which one do you want first?
we'll just do let's do the shield first. So we knew we wanted to redo the graphics for the cruiser. I also wanted to redo our patch at the same time, so everything would match. Not kind of really knowing where to start. After emailing and texting with you, reached out to Townsend Belial and talked with him. He set me up with his company. We had a couple of Zoom meetings. He had kind of described this bridge as clip art.
Yeah.
Which I would agree, because Woodstock, New Hampshire has the exact same
Oh.
bridge on their police patch. So his company took a photo of the actual middle bridge in
Nice.
downtown, incorporated the W for the branding.
Love it.
Into it,
And it's our
And-
bridge.
and that's our bridge with our branding. For the patch, at first, we were looking at the company that does the current patch embroidery, and they were not gonna be able to put the W into it. I shopped around and found Mitchell's in Rutland or Pittsford. For less money, they're able to do the patch. It's a different style. It's actually a nicer texture I found. But they're able to get the detail to have that in on our shoulder patch as well. So I was pleased with that. And it came out at like $1 less per patch. So I was pleased with that. Looking
So
at,
those patches can come off.
yes. They can,
Okay.
but I want to get new uniforms also. And I'll talk about that later.
Oh.
I'll talk,
Chief Swanson coming in hot.
but that's,
You told him to own it 2 minutes ago, and now you.
but I'll talk about that in a minute. If you bring up the trunk of the cruiser. That Woodstock Police, that font. Towns of Blue Island, this company, stylized the Woodstock, Vermont current font into a bolder font that's more formal and more distinguishable for the cruiser. And if you look at if you do the side,
This one,
uh,
the other one.
yes. In partnership with the community, it's that same font. Um,
Does it have, shading around it?
it does, so it's a black font with a kind of a gray shading around it to help it stand out against the white. The black font on the Woodstock Police is reflective, so at night
Oh, no.
it'll display, and that's true for the trunk and the sides.
Okay, so the trunk has that shadow.
Yep, and those chevrons on the bottom are also reflective, so it'll stand out and be easily identifiable.
And that's just,
That's an American flag.
okay.
It's,
Sure had like a QR code in it or something.
I'm not that, I didn't go that crazy. So the quote, if you go to your next page, awesome graphics. Not every car has every cost. So only the first car has the initial file set up 135. But the proposed total cost of the village after doing the cars is 2,236
Per vehicle.
combined,
How many cars is that? 2 cars.
2 cars.
And they apply it.
Yes,
So this is for 2 cars.
yes,
How many cars do we have?
4.
So
So one will be the
town-
town's car. The chief's car doesn't have graphics. So the village has 2 patrol cars.
Why wouldn't the town car say blue?
Because I have to ask them for the money, but the town will pay for it. So I didn't include it in this
Oh.
budgetary.
I mean, this one.
Village.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah, I'm just talking about for these
Okay.
numbers for.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Why,
absolutely.
why does the chief's car not have any identification?
That's the way that Robbie had it, and that's the way most departments do it. I don't really know the history of why, it just is.
I don't understand it. We want them to know it's a police car, right?
Yeah, I mean, is there like, is there,
Well, we don't use the chief's car for patrol.
we use the chief's car?
I can set it up to use for patrol.
So that means that it doesn't have the computer and all the.
Yeah, it doesn't have a radar, doesn't have dash camera, doesn't have, radios.
Okay, so what is it now?
It would,
Is it just?
it has a car.
Okay, it's just,
It has lights.
yeah, okay, so it's just like a car.
I
So what is-
would like to get to where it's more evenly equipped, but generally your chief's car is not marked, it's equipped with lights and siren. Your supervisor's cars don't have a light bar, the lights are, it's called like a slick top, and then it will have graphics. Your detectives don't have graphics, and then your patrol cars with graphics, light bar, and the full setup.
Ooh, I didn't realize it was so complex.
I know.
So what does the chief's car get used for?
Gets used for if I'm on duty but not on patrol.
Okay,
It gets used for training. It gets used for call-ins, like if I get called in. That sort of thing.
do you keep it at your house?
Yes.
Still wondering why it wouldn't say police in some manner.
It's usually an unmarked car, so it doesn't say. police.
I guess I'm concerned with why isn't it equipped with all the equipment that you would need
Yeah.
if there was a situation such as the shooting?
Right. And it's
Okay.
something that I would absolutely like to work to building up.
Okay,
We definitely don't have the money in the budget for that right now.
If I could.
Yeah.
This is a great example of having that budget conversation in the year, like, so bringing this up, saying if this is what the trustees want going forward, then it has to be funded,
Yeah.
over a period of time and, in a year, 2 years, the chief's car is then at that position to be at. I think we're all hamstrung by a very tight budget, so the decision has to be made how best to run the department, and Robbie and me for him decided the best way was maybe to have the chief's car as minimal as possible to save money, to put money somewhere else.
So where would this money come from? $2,236.
Out of the vehicle budget. So. Can I keep going?
Okay, all right.
If
Hang it
you-
in.
Like-
Further down in the packet is, a page from the capital improvement plan. Highlighted with like 4 yellow lines. Not the trustees packet, the one I just handed you.
It's fine.
Yeah, the next page of that.
Not right now.
Yeah.
Everybody fine?
I have two, this is the next one. Yep, there you go.
Stuff that Joe gave you, not the stuff I gave you. Gabe, you got it?
Yep. So if you look at the line that says Ford Explorer 2018. Those were due to be cycled out in 21 and 22. Those are still in service. Police cars in general have taken a steep increase in prices as everything else. And those vehicles are both 60,000 and 70,000 plus miles respectively. And both have required and will continue to require extensive maintenance.
Why isn't the 2017 come before the 2008?
I think because this file was last updated in 2021. So in 2022, the town Ford Explorer was updated,
Okay, so there is. no
but that's
longer-
on a separate cycle because that's the town one.
Oh, that's 2017.
Yeah.
2001?
And then the next one down, the marked V1
Yeah.
was replaced on schedule in 2022.
Okay, so that doesn't exist anymore. It's a Ford Explorer 2022.
Yeah, so I didn't highlight it because that's all taken care of.
And the town one
Is also,
is also a 2022.
yeah, and taken
Okay.
care of. So the problem that I ran into is there's $20,000 in capital reserve and $20,000 in vehicle purchase for this fiscal year budgeted. Which, when Robbie called Claremont Ford, vehicles are 41,000. So more than we've saved for.
And is that with or without all this stuff in it?
That's just the car, just the base car. So looking around and shopping around, a lot of departments in the area are going with this company in Massachusetts called McGovern Municipal. They, through the power of wheeling and dealing and claiming poverty, most 2023's model years are 41,000 plus dollars. This would be the, this estimate right here, the government estimate. There's two of them because we have, but just, if you just look at the top one for right now. The base price of this car is 36,802. So this is a 2022 holdover. It's not been built or sold, but the company has it and has it on their lot. This is a hybrid, and I know that there's an interest in going to hybrid vehicles, both for the environmental aspect and also the cost savings on fuel. So by going with a 2022 holdover, the base price of the vehicle is about $9,000 less than what a 2023 hybrid would be. And so probably like 7,000 less than what a 2023 gas would be. But the only way to get that pricing is to go through this company. I can't get that from a dealer. There are no holdovers at dealers, at dealerships. The benefit to this company is they sell the vehicles equipped. They install some of our equipment such as the dash camera, the radars, some odds and ends.
All this equipment that's on here, is that comparable to what we have now, or is this
Superior.
beyond?
It's better.
Better, just,
It's not some of it's reusing, some of it's new,
okay.
but the equipment itself and the setup itself is better.
Okay.
Some of the, well, one of the equipments here is a, Weston brand, Pro, on the second page, ProGuard cell, single cell with, that's, a cage.
Mhm.
Our current patrol vehicles, the town primary and the village primary patrol vehicles don't have a cage in it.
Oh.
So the officers have safety concerns about using a vehicle without a cage as a primary vehicle. The cage that we have sitting in the Sally Port cannot be installed because the body's changed from 2018 to 2021 or whatever it was. So no matter what, we have to get new.
But you're saying none of these things could be changed anyway, because they're already in the car,
They'll be, yeah, right.
part of the pack.
Yes, they start the build up. They put some of the stuff in as we've spec'd it out. Not everything is currently installed, but this is what would be installed in that car.
And then what would be left to install?
The only thing left to install, because they install, like, if you look at the end, it says install customer supplied dual head radar, customer supplied watch guard, that's the dash camera. So the only thing left to install is the graphics and the radios. So the radios would come out of our cars. We would take delivery, bring them over to CBC Paging in Rutland, who does our radios. They would install our radios. We drive it down the street to Awesome Graphics. They put the graphics on it. And then we take final delivery like a week later or whatever the schedule was.
And do you have a ballpark of what it is to install the radio?
It'd be in the hundreds.
Oh, okay.
It's,
So it's not,
yeah.
And what are the differences, what other differences
In the-
are we visible to the public from what we have now? Dark car feature,
That's the same. It's just like a kind of a hazed,
not completely a blackout.
no, it's just the headlights have like a smoky in it. Our current ones have that.
Oh, the headlights.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell what,
The only real difference that's visible is these have a push bumper on them and not just a flat grill, not just a clean grill. It was slightly more expensive, but about comparable to installing the lights without it. The benefit is officer safety and visibility. The lights are more visible because you have the lights installed on the side of the bumper, and then for officer safety in collision with an animal or another car. So for the safety with a minimal increase in price, I equipped it that way. That'd be about the only visible difference, other than maybe kind of like the placement of like the lights or something. They might be slightly different.
and what are the things that are different on the inside that are?
On the functional, if you look, so the current laptops,
The tough book?
the tough books are, for some reason listed as 22 and 27. The two laptops we have are both when Robbie first started here and first got us cruiser mounted laptops. So I worked with Kyle from Panasonic, who instead of recommended these $5,000 laptops, recommended one that's slightly less ruggedized, but perfect for law enforcement use where it stays mostly in the car. It's called like semi-ruggedized, like a lot of large agencies, he specifically mentioned Virginia State Police use it. And he said about half the price. So this was equipped with a new docking station and laptop. The docking station we have can't be reused because the computers have changed. So inside we have the same camera, radar, new cage, new computer, same radios. The way that I recommend funding this is twofold, or well, I want to kind of talk about two things. We have two vehicles that are both in extreme need of repair and due for replacement,
Are they unwarranted?
completely out of warranty. We don't have the money in the budget to pay for one car, never mind two, and never mind two, even if we wait for July 1st. So I recommend financing. These numbers here are both estimates are slightly different. One includes the trade-in for the 2015.
Which page are you looking at?
This would be, sorry, the first one that you're looking at has a total price of 57,504. Includes an estimated 3,000 for trade-in for the 2018. Yeah. They're in really rough shape.
Oh,
So 2018 is.
Yeah. And then the 2015, which I lovingly refer to as bullet holes.
Yeah. Because
There it doesn't have bullet holes in it. I tried to convince them that it would offer more value. I didn't get anywhere. So they offered us an estimated 2,000.
Can I buy one?
yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
for parts, is that what it's?
I mean, my honest opinion is they both need lots of work. I have a sentimental attachment to the 2015, but neither one is really a financially smart thing to keep on the road for a police department.
So these are all for purchase, right?
Yeah, it's a lease.
There's no, oh, they are
It's a lease.
lease to purchase?
Yeah, it's kind of like a municipal lease.
So, and I haven't looked at this closely enough. So the ones that we have now, we originally got on leases or we
No,
purchased?
the village is always purchased by saving up and buying.
Okay,
And that worked because vehicle prices were lower and we're putting enough away. Also, just,
and why is our thinking that why would we purchase a depreciating asset?
well, we would lease it to, it's considered a lease. But I have also printed out so do you mean why would we like finance as opposed to buy outright, or why would we?
No,
buy instead of
well, I mean, you're financing it, you're saying you're purchasing it.
I'm saying finance as like using the bank's money instead of using our money.
Right, no, I get that part, but I'm just trying to figure out, can you get an outright lease? And is there accounting benefits to getting a lease versus a
You
purchase?
don't, it's not you can't do an outright lease because then you're stuck to your mileage. Municipal vehicles are a lease to own program usually.
They're leased, okay.
So if you look at the page, it looks like this 20, I put the fiscal years up. And yeah, so this is for these numbers are for two vehicles, replacing both vehicles this year, in one single order. The financing to order the vehicles is $500 out of this fiscal year, out of this budget. The net, it'd be 4 annual payments beginning in fiscal year 2025 of about $33,000.
Oh, these are fiscal years.
Yep, so if you look at the first shaded line is the year, call it the loan, but it's not really, the lease year, like 1, 2, 3, 4. The next shaded is how much we put away per year out of the budget into the capital reserve. And taking away each annual payment. And I did the numbers to balance out at 0 at the end, but we can increase it so there's more in capital reserve at the end. And has very minimal increases. You have a year at the end after you've traded in these and gone with a new loan where you're not making any payments again. And then you're sort of replenishing that capital reserve.
When did we pay off the two that we currently have?
A couple years ago. So 2015 would have been paid off, 2019 and 2018 would have been paid off. 20, it had, yeah, calendar 22 had to have been. No, sorry, 21, because it would have been in 17.
Okay.
Oh, what about any other vehicles during this time period?
So during this time period, the town car is on its own
It's
budget.
on its own budget.
The car we currently own, that's Village One, would be converted to, because equipment's coming out, be converted into the chief's vehicle. And the warranty on that will last powertrain, and they call it premium care when I talked to Ford the other day, through 100,000 miles. So that can kind of come out of the rotation and eventually be its own rotation, but can last into the end of like, to the end of this.
To the end of this.
Yeah.
2029.
Yeah, we got that car in 22, so 5 years would be 28, so fiscal year 29. But we can also revisit. I don't know how well it'll hold up.
How many miles is that one?
That one's like 17, 18, might be closer to 20. It's in that ballpark. The so my recommendation is to lease to own, but like they trade it in. 2 cars now, with this build spec, with these trade-in values, with this company. The last thing that I'll show you is in the packet somewhere. It's where I got the 33,000. That was off of a slightly different build when I hadn't incorporated the computers or the trade-in yet. But it should be somewhere right around this 33,057. Benefit to this is because it can usually take 3 months or so to take delivery once you place the order. Because I'm taking a 22 that's a holdover. The sales rep said that they would kind of bump it up in the queue, so they could get it off their lot. We could take delivery sooner, and they've actually, over the last month or so, when I started talking to him, he has since put these on hold for me. So they're holding this holdover at the reduced price for me. So my recommendation is to purchase these 2 vehicles as spec, using some of the 20,000 that's in the line item for this year for the graphics, the radio install, and sort of the odds and ends. Then that, being transferred, remainder being transferred into next year's capital reserve and taking up this cycle that I kind of presented.
They don't give you a residual value based on the
No,
mileage you have at the end of the lease?
no, they didn't. They traditionally before these 2, we've always gotten about 7,000 in trade. In the year 2000, when I was in college, and I bought a Chevy Blazer from Gateway Ford that Byron traded in. Byron got 7,000 for trade. Last year when we traded in the 2017, Robbie got 7,000 in trade. So we've traditionally got about 7,000. I think because these are older than we were trading in previously is why we're getting less. So my estimate is it would be around 7 as a residual value, but they didn't include that in their numbers.
Is there like a traditional lease if you're gonna buy the car at the end, you have to pay a certain amount, like a couple $1,000s? Is that included
Yeah.
here or,
Yeah.
you know?
They didn't mention anything about like a payoff of like balloon payment. No, there was no. Nope, nothing like that.
And the cars will be under warranty for all 4 years?
Yeah, so the first three is bumper to bumper. And then from there, there's 100,000 premium care and powertrain. And I think it's 3 year or 36,000. So then you might end up going over like the 36 before the 3 years, but then you're still kicking in to the. I don't really know what's in the premium care. Kind of seems a little hokey. This is kind of like a marketing name in my mind, but powertrain has like a meeting. And that's like the nuts and bolts that keep the car going. And that's through 100,000, so.
So what are we being asked to do here?
Yeah, so
Are
let's see.
are we
So-
looking to
so-
approve this now? We
yeah.
have to think about it, or what's,
Because these are being held. I don't know how long I keep them being held. I'm asking to approve the financing as presented within, maybe like a not to exceed. Or something along those lines.
We can go over this illustration again, I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, that's 40,
If you look at fiscal year 2025, at the top is 40,000. If you look at 2024 at the bottom, it was just capital reserve balance is 40. So that carries over into the next year. We put in from the budget 21,500, leaving 61,500 in 2025. You pay the annual payment of 33,000, leaving 28,500 to carry over into fiscal year 2026. Adding to that 22,500.
that's out of the budget.
Yeah, just out of the budget,
Projected, yeah.
which is what we're already doing 20 a year. So I'm trying to do this setup with as minimal of an increase as possible. I hope I don't have to go soon.
You know, right? Give you a radio on.
Yeah, I'm all set. That sounds like a fire truck or ambulance, I mean. So leaving us with a balance of 51,000. So again, spending the next annual payment of 33. Carrying over that remaining capital reserve balance of 18. Adding 23,500. Subtracting the $33,000 payment. Leaving 8,500 in the capital reserve. To carry over. Putting in 24,500. Subtracting the $33,000 payment. And then the balance is zero. That dash is a zero, it's just way Excel.
And then what's the 25,000?
So the following year,
You put $25,000 in the capital so that you can.
Yep.
start the process.
exactly. So in the following year, again, that dash is zero. So nothing carried over, but we put 25,000 in out of the budget. We don't have a payment due that year. So, whatever we put in that year, if we don't adjust these numbers significantly, would carry over to start off paying for the next cycle,
Which would be like 1 year away.
which would be 1 year offset. Yep.
And so you anticipate that we would need to replace both cars at the same time again?
Yeah. If you wanted to like down the line, like after 2 or 3 years, if you wanted to look at doing a trade out early, well, there's still more value and getting back on track to doing that every other year. I could run a series of numbers for you and we could play that out.
I think the important thing for the trustees to understand is if you vote tonight and you vote in favor of this, that you are agreeing that for the next 4 years, you will fund
We will increase the,
in some way to make sure
Yeah.
that the money's there each year. In whatever way you deem fit, but you're committing, 33,000 plus payment per year for cars over the next 4 years. And on the flip side, chief has to realize that as capital increase for the car purposes, trustees may have to cut money somewhere else to offset. So I think both parties need to understand that this is kind of an agreement for the next 4 years of what's gonna have to happen, at least for the purchase of the vehicles.
Do you anticipate any other big ticket items coming up within the next 5 years?
Yes.
Yes, the only other big ticket item, the watch guards themselves, I intend to keep in the vehicle for the entire life of the vehicles. I don't want to strip out and replace the wires because then you wind up,
What's a watch guard?
sorry, the dash camera.
Oh.
Because then you wind up with,
Safety cameras.
yeah, exactly. So I think, but I think they're on the cycle capital plan for 2026. So I think we could stretch that out. They're in decent, the ones we have are in decent shape. If I had to, I could replace, because it's a camera, it's wiring, it's a hard drive and it's thumb drives. So, and a monitor. So in theory, I might have to replace a part, but I think I could keep the system as itself going through the life of these vehicles. The big ticket items that we see coming forward would be either additional teasers, and
Did you just get over to me?
we got 7.
Okay.
And so they can be issued either to officers individually or to share. But in theory, if you were to issue to officers individually, as more officers become trained, we may want to consider purchasing more. It's not a requirement, it's just you asked, so.
Yeah.
And body cameras. So we have body cameras now. We had 8. I got 4 more on a grant that's funded by Vermont League of Cities and Towns. So we now have 8 that have been in service for 5 or 6 years, so they're nearing end of life, and 4 that are brand new. Axon, of course, highly recommends going with their newest and best. At minimum, if I go online and just hit add to cart, the camera we have now is $731 per unit with no data. If the real expense, whether it's the 2, which is the one we have now, the 3 or 4, which are subsequent model years, becomes when you have cloud storage. And Axon, of course, recommends it for a number of reasons. The main reason,
For profit.
yeah, that's the only reason. The main reason that is face redaction. So if you have a juvenile or a minor that's not, that's a victim of a crime or caught in frame during the commission of a crime or something, and it goes to court, you're supposed to redact it. We don't have that ability now. We also haven't had that come as we haven't had this situation yet. But it's something to be looking forward to.
And then how long are you legally required to keep body camera footage for a certain number?
Yes, it's not an incredibly long amount of time. It's like 6 months. I think we do 6 months.
Okay.
And then when we have cases that go to court, we'd be running it to DVD, so they're actually kept for the life of the case anyway.
Okay.
The way we do it right now, that could change, but this,
So those are the only expensive, large ticket
The
items.
only
Are you
other
looking at
expense-
radios?
Well, can I interrupt for a second?
yeah,
I think we just want to be clear that there are expenses we know are coming up, but there's also expenses that we don't know could be coming
Yeah.
up. So just because we're sitting here saying maybe
Right.
body cameras, whatever else, we could be sitting here a year and a half saying, oh, we really need to purchase X because of Y. So we want to be careful that what we know today is not what we know tomorrow. So there could be added expenses as well. And that's always the case in these things. So clear that whatever.
There's one thing that Joe mentioned.
uniforms.
Yes.
So, no matter what,
Can I just interrupt for 1
I
second?
can do this with it.
I think we want to
Yes.
maybe stay on one
Yes.
topic at a
Yeah.
time. So
I think that's, no,
I can answer this.
actually, I
very quick.
think I'd like to know.
Yeah.
what The intention of the chief is, and because we're considering a major expense here. And now he's talking about another one. I'd like to
Yeah.
weigh both.
Okay.
Before
Yeah.
saying yes to one.
So for uniform purchases, I'm currently wearing Robbie's shirts with pants that I bought myself. Because when I cut my stripes off, the shirts I was wearing were so sun faded that you can still see the outline. Owen doesn't have shirts that fit him. Liz's pant that she has are black, because that's something that happened to be in stock.
Is that black or blue?
Blue.
Now, we just bought some uniforms,
Mm.
one uniform.
Eh.
Or,
Oh, I ordered one shirt for Owen for $50.
okay, and
So we could have
wasn't there one for another officer? One for-
No.
No, maybe
A
that
pair
was,
of boots for Officer.
that was
for
just
Joe
a
Lucan.
bulletproof vest.
I think.
I haven't ordered. Oh, yeah, that was out of Robbie's budget. That was fiscal year 2022. Or 23, sorry. Yeah.
So what are you looking at?
So Woodstock Police was always traditionally green uniforms, and I'd like to go back to green uniforms. The officers also want to go to green uniforms. So sticking within the funded 3,000 for the village and 1,200 for the town, $4,200 total. I can order the patches, have the patches sewn on 2 pairs of pants, 1 long sleeve and 1 short sleeve shirt per officer. The officers have agreed to this for this fiscal year, and then stretching out with additional uniforms being issued after July 1st. They haven't agreed to that.
Well, that's
Or-
all within the union contract too.
Yeah.
About what they need to be supplied.
Yeah, and if they can amend that and agree to let me spread it out over 2 budget cycles, but they have only done that for this. But I'm not asking for extra money because I can do that within the budget.
You can do the uniforms within the budget?
Yes.
Where from where?
So there's $3,000 in the village and there's $4,200 in the,
1,200 in town, right? And
and 1,200 in
the
the
total for, yeah, of course, yeah.
Already in there?
It's already budgeted for this year. I don't think there's anything in capital reserve for that, but it would be about $3,400 for pants, shirts, patches, and the patches installed, leaving me with about $700
To be found.
already owning, $700 remaining in my budget, still in the uniform budget,
Oh,
doing it this way. So
That's line item 5031,306, $3,000 budgeted, $200 spent so far.
so that's a pair of boots for Lucan.
Page 7, down bottom. 5031,306, the account number.
What happens to the uniforms presently when a officer should either retire or?
They get put on a shelf, or I mean, they're hanging up in a closet. A lot of the stuff that's hanging up in closets, it's just stuff that doesn't fit officers.
Yeah.
To larger sizes, and
So it does get returned?
it does
to
get, yeah, some because, get turned in with frayed pockets and get thrown out.
Yeah.
So you're talking about 4 uniforms.
So I'm talking about 2 pairs of pants per officer, 1 long sleeve and 1 short sleeve.
4 officers.
And then some part-time officers.
So if you're going
So
to,
it's a total of 14 men's pants, 4 women's pants, 11 men's long sleeve, 11 men's short sleeve, 4 women's long sleeves, 4 women's short sleeves.
So it covers all.
For the whole
all
department.
Part-time.
Yep, part-timers also.
what about, in winter, do you?
So we already have
Jackets,
jackets.
Those are blue,
They're black.
they're black.
They're already
So you're
black.
gonna
The only
have black
thing-
jackets and green.
Yeah,
Not that we're gonna have a fashion conversation.
no,
And we can.
I mean,
Well, that be looking good.
but we already own the jackets. The only thing that's blue is sweaters. I'm not too worried about someone wearing a blue sweater for this winter. So that is an expense, but it's a budgeted expense.
Yeah, thank you.
So you don't need.
No, I just wanted to tell you that that's what's in my mind.
My one concern, I'll just say it out loud, is that we have park rangers that wear green.
Yes. So we'll also have the vest that's
And the
black.
state
No, street troopers have tan shirts
For the tan.
and green pants. But
Yes.
we always wear a green shirt, green pants. For as far as I can remember.
You can't say boys in blue anymore.
I know.
Upsetting.
Well, there'll be a little bit of blue on the
Gals
patch.
in green. Guys and gals in green.
I mean, you can tell me no. I'd rather worry about the cruisers, but it's something that the officers want that I'm interested in doing, and it seems like the right branding for me for Woodstock.
I mean, I don't hate it.
If you didn't spend it, could that money be put towards something else?
Not likely,
Like,
because I'm wearing Robbie's shirts.
Yeah,
They look good. Alex, good idea.
as somebody who grew up having to wear hand-me-downs constant.
So
Let me just
I
say-
have to wear shirt stays to keep them from coming untucked, so they're a little short.
And the union contract does stipulate what, I don't have it in front of me what needs
Yeah.
to be done uniform wise, so they probably have to buy uniforms regardless, it's just, I guess, what color we want the uniforms to be.
Right.
And what, I don't know if there's a difference in price between,
The uniforms that Robbie was buying is actually, from what I could tell, or what I remember, I couldn't find his like previous invoices when I was looking through his computer today, but I think they're about 80. These are 40 for shirt and 70 for pants. So it's actually maybe a little bit less. They don't have to be hemmed.
You're saying this is all in the budget anyways, you're lining up what's in the budget for your needs.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
That's all I need to
And
know.
I don't want to do something without, even if it's within budget, I don't want to do
Just
anything.
because, of course, you might have said purple and we might have.
Yeah, exactly.
Is this
Everyone's
blue or black?
No, I-
That's navy.
green-
So there'd be a little bit of, on the patch, it'd be navy.
But you'd want it to offset, so that's.
Yeah, so it's the contrast with the blue. I mean, the blue is a contrast with the green, but it's not a clash.
It would be a pop,
Yeah, it would be a pop,
like your sock.
which I just have, I have wool with, kind of like the old school athletic sock today. Nothing too fancy.
Oh, retro.
Yeah, I went retro instead of.
Yes. Okay, so does everybody have enough information to vote on? Okay. So I would make a motion to approve the purchase of 2 cars with the financing through Republic First National. Is that it?
Yeah.
And the 5-year plan, payment plan?
Yep.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much. I have one last question.
Yeah.
These take about 2 or 3 months. Do you want me to spend another 1,200 getting this graphic on the village car that's gonna get serviced out in the meantime, or just leave the cars the way they are until we get the new ones delivered?
Serviced out. Oh, the one, oh. the-
Yeah,
the ones that are gonna get traded
I
out.
I would say just
for a few months.
let them get serviced out.
Yeah.
It's just a, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's worth the money. I just wanted to,
Oh, I do have one question.
Yep.
Back up, so the cars, wait, don't say it one more time. Does the car say village or town on it?
it does not.
So Woodstock.
It just says Woodstock Police.
Okay.
Do you want to say Woodstock Village? I think it'd be a
Well,
little busy, but I could. do
No,
it.
but like on the back, or I mean, just so that. No, so I look at a car and I'm like, that's for the village, like. have you guys
Oh,
ever done that
yes.
for, like, a designation?
So if you look, I can do that. So if you look at the trunk where I have 01.
Yeah.
When they do the town, I could have that say V1 and V2.
That would be
When the
awesome.
town says, I could just have the town say like town 1 or something, or just town,
T1, T2.
whatever. I can do that. That's easy. How many of you? That's okay.
Then you have to start with like,
I can do that.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much.
okay, thank you. Does anybody else have any questions? Are there any citizen questions for?
Thank you for doing
Yeah.
a thorough presentation.
Yeah, thanks, chief.
Very good.
Don't want to leave any to chance.
No, you did not.
Thank you, everyone. Is there anything else on the? I hadn't had a chance to see the. agenda. Is there anything
Yeah,
you want
I
to
would
stick
love
out for?
for you to stick around for the whole
Absolutely.
session.
Okay.
That would be, yeah, that'd be great. Okay. So next item is we moved up about the Masonic Lodge.
Unfortunately, the gentleman had to leave for another meeting, so he apologized, but
That's okay.
time
Did
ran
he-
long.
It was more of just a discussion. He wanted to give us a heads up.
Yeah, He just left his phone number and I apologize for having to leave early.
I've been emailing with them.
Okay. Can you just tell us,
You mind coming back up?
sorry, just because we don't have to make about anything, it's a heads
They
up.
want to do it on the weekend before Halloween, like 2 weekends leading up to Halloween plus Halloween night. Friday, I think Friday, Saturday night, and then
So,
Halloween's what, Wednesday or Thursday?
See,
so we'd want to do it 20, 21, 27, 28, and then the 31st.
Yeah, there's no real,
Tuesday.
like, there's no traffic control needed or anything like that. I think it's just kind of just a notifying you.
They think they did that last year.
Did they, did the police help with just like, these people could like park and have kids run
They
across the
didn't-
street?
No, I was there because I'm a Mason and was volunteering anyway. But it wouldn't have been needed.
Okay, but you have, but there's volunteers that are.
Yeah,
just
there's
like-
volunteers that are
Especially
there.
when it gets dark. I just.
Yeah. I had to tell one kid to jump off in it. I thought they
Okay,
want the phone.
but there's somebody that's standing out front.
Yeah, there's,
like,
I work the door, so
oh, that's right. you
someone
do.
else will do that. If I'm not there, I'm going to give.
Well, Kim just liked having you at the door. Okay, so it's 21, 20, 21, 27, 28, and then the 30th,
31st.
or the 31st on Halloween night.
I believe. Yeah,
We're gonna do it on Halloween night?
that's what he said.
Okay.
Did they
didn't
do
do that
it
last
on
year, did they?
Halloween night last
I think it was
year?
just the weekend before and they were increasing
Yeah.
it, so.
That's gonna draw away from High Street.
My concern would be people are gonna walk.
I can let them know.
Yeah, I would be, because if you did that, like, we would need police and we would
Yeah.
need extra lights, 'cause
Then they're-
people are gonna walk.
They'll be
You're walking
walking
across
from High Street.
Right. I
Stay-
can let them know and we can revisit it. That's not a problem.
Yeah,
Yeah, if you could ask them about that, that'd be
Okay.
awesome.
Sure.
Okay. And apologize to him for.
I will. For being so long.
Yeah, no, you apologize to him, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
it's all your fault. It's fine, okay, next item on the agenda is the permit for use of green from Bookstock. Somebody on Zoom to talk about Bookstock?
Yeah.
we've got their materials.
It looks good to me.
It looks like it's pretty much the same thing.
So they weren't able to give us a certificate of insurance yet, based on the fiscal year. And we did notice that the last COA,
COI.
did not list the Village of Woodstock on it. And so I think we want to make sure that the next one would have that on there as well to cover the liability. I don't know if anyone had any questions for them about this past year. I know they had porta parties and we had a big discussion on that beforehand. They said it went well, but we haven't had much other feedback on that.
Well, and that's porta potties on town, on village, town, whatever property it is, so that's. And some of the feedback that I got, that I've heard was, it was raining, so it was sort of tough, but that it was uneven and. So that would be more of a conversation, just be like, is there a better way to do it?
Yeah, they put it on the grass and there was some feedback, people saying they were not comfortable using it because it was on the grass, it was uneven and they didn't want it to fall over or while they were in there. Or it was muddy, they didn't want to step on there, was some feedback we heard.
It was well used according to Peter Rumen, yeah, when I asked them about it. I mean, in terms of people that actually use it.
You also don't have a,
On the green version presentation.
Yeah,
you also don't have a map. They're supposed to give us a layout of the event. Which I think I asked Nikki to ask them.
Or
Nikki, are you there?
Did I ask you that, Nikki? Am I making that up? We put her to sleep. So
Yeah.
so,
you find
so
this-
do you want to have them fill in the blanks? This up,
Yeah, man, I mean, we're,
wait,
I think as long as we recognize that, kind of hold the spot for them, I think we can postpone this till October if you want. I don't see an issue.
Yeah, because I'd like to see the layout and then I want to talk more about the bathrooms and what they plan to do with the COI. I know that they can. They did send an email back to Nikki about the COI that was like, oh, they thought they had the problem last year, but nobody caught it.
Yeah,
And so now, so I want to make sure that they know that they need to put our name on it.
Yep.
So I just feel like I've got questions
Yeah.
for them. So,
October.
is everybody okay with tabling it until?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Nikki,
Sure.
can you let them know that we're tabling it until next month so we can get some more information?
Sure.
Is she muted?
Yeah, please. Yeah.
I'll talk to her. I'll
Okay.
let them know. Yeah.
Okay, so so we need the information about we need the layout for the event. And then, I do
Yeah,
also have some,
COI, porta potties, yeah.
yeah, and I do also have some trash questions for them too, or just,
I think it's valuable if someone comes, that we can ask questions to here.
yeah. And somebody needs to be here. Yeah, okay, so we're tabling that until next month. That
Yes.
trustees, everybody's okay with that?
Yeah,
Do I need to make a motion to table?
no, no.
Next item on the agenda is the Eastern States Cup. Come on up. You've been so patient. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks.
So this is what you did last year,
Correct.
right? Okay. So, walk us through.
You are Nick, right?
I'm not Nick.
You're not, you're Matt.
I'm subbing in for
You're
Nick.
subbing in.
Okay,
We
what's
did-
your name?
we-
Gavin Vaughn.
Gavin.
Yeah.
Second name, Gavin. Okay, so Gavin Vaughn, so tell us the whole process. It's all day long? Back and
Yep.
forth?
Yes, Sunday, October 1st. It'll be a race that, it's starting at Saskatoon 6. It's a five stage event, 5-time trials. It's taking place on the mountain bike trails at Saskatoon 6 and at Mount Peg. And I guess the main reason we're here is because they want to be able to what we call transfer on the roads between Saskatoon 6 and Mount Peg. They'll be activating their timing chips at around 8:15 a.m. in the morning.
Okay.
And that happens, like each racer has to have it happen individually, so it kind of strings everyone out. So each class kind of goes off in 15 to 20-minute intervals. Takes usually a couple hours to get through.
Is it all adults? Was it?
It gets, yeah, there's a U12 and U14 category, so pretty young.
Sorry, again, I'm unclear. So we have some at Saskatoon and some at Mount Peg, and is it a time piece? It's a race so that you're timing each, how
Yeah,
everything is on each
it's a-
side of the fence,
yeah.
but they're not racing through town.
Correct. Yeah, there's 5 time trials kind of in the woods on mountain bike trails.
Right.
They combine those times together for your overall time. And yeah, then what they call the transfers are you're just riding in between the time stages,
Right.
either on trail or on the road.
But they will be riding like from Saskatoon 6 to Mount Peg on
Route 12.
Route 12.
Route 12, yes.
It's not different than last year, right? Oh,
No different, yeah,
Yeah.
same route. Seem to work well.
Yeah, 12, it says Route 12.
Yeah,
Okay.
Route
Concord
12,
Road, Route 12 and River Street.
Yeah.
River
yeah.
Street.
Through the middle bridge.
We used to
Down
intervene.
South Street.
We did do that last year, as I understand. I think that was like, I remember Robbie was here during the meeting, and I think it was at Route 12 and River Street. They're worried about the return, like riders turning left.
Yeah.
If I remember right.
Oh, that's why we did it. We
If I
got-
recall, the only question that we really had last year was the question of, just being busy time of year.
Yeah.
foliage, And I think we felt comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So this,
I agree.
so they're not going, I'm just trying to figure out the arrows on the maps. So they'll start at Mount Peg and then they'll go south and around the green and then up
Right.
around the river?
On the return, yeah, they will be exiting at Knox Meadows.
Okay,
On the other side of the athletic center,
okay.
and then riding, 106 north,
So then they'll go,
and then rejoining the same route.
so they'll go South Street onto the green and then they'll go around the green and across
Correct.
the covered bridge and down river?
Yes.
Okay. Our concern last year was that we didn't want them making that left-hand turn onto Elm because it can get dicey.
Right.
So, but when they come from S6 to Peg, they will come down Elm and then they'll make the right and go around.
No, I think, right on River Street as well.
Okay,
Left
so-
on Mountain.
Okay, so they're not gonna be on Elm at all.
I believe so. Yeah.
Cars are going such they go on Elm Street though.
Yeah, there's one arrow on those.
Yeah.
That we just did last year.
Yeah.
The return.
Is that the
says- it
map
says they're on
Nick
Yeah.
submitted?
It's just got lots of arrows, so I'm
It
trying to.
does.
No, but it's listed here.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The public highways, all the streets that are,
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out the like. I'm mostly concerned about that left, just because it gets dicey and there's lots of cars and I just want to make sure that,
But this hasn't been making that left.
Yeah, I know.
So the course map we gave to racers, yeah, it does completely avoid Elm Street into the center of town. I've got it really.
okay, so then I can take these arrows off here.
Yeah,
Okay, so there's.
yeah, I
arrows.
would.
Okay, so they're going around the village, around the green both times and they go over the covered bridge.
Yeah.
And then River Street.
Yep.
Okay, and then what's the Gulf Avenue? Is that just,
That is on the way to go to Village Trail.
okay,
And, yeah,
okay, so they go there to get up and then on their way.
yes.
Doc's better coming in.
Okay, okay, I got it. So
Yep.
it's like this.
Yep.
Okay, Joe, have you looked over this and do you have any,
I remember from last year.
yeah, do you have any concerns about it?
I didn't have any concerns last year. I remember everything being pretty smooth.
It's because people are racing against themselves almost. It's staggered out.
Yes.
Like I would see like 3 or 4 at a
Yeah.
time.
Yes,
And then
exactly.
presumably the kids, there's always like some adult that's
Yep,
nearby.
Yeah, they have chaperones to keep the group kind of moving on the road,
Okay.
keep track of them all.
And then where does it, oh, sorry, go ahead.
And the U12 category actually just stays at Saskatoon 6.
Oh, okay.
8 stages. But, yeah, I think the U14 category has chaperones that kind of get them.
It's gonna be a busy day in Woodstock. So, I mean, between foliage visitors.
Yeah.
Your race and a community gathering at the East End Park.
Oh, that's right.
Was
That's
there a-
later in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know,
Event,
I'm saying,
traditional
busy.
event.
We would hope they would be off of Mount Peg, because off of Mount Peg and off the roads back to Saskatoon to 6 before 4 PM, probably ideally before 3 PM. Yeah, the last 2 stages will be happening at Saskatoon 6, so the goal is to get racers like on the road to Mount Peg and back as quickly as possible.
So in the morning, do people park at S6 or do they park?
S6.
Okay.
Yep.
So everybody leaves and returns to Saskatoon.
No shuttling in between the pedal.
I'd like to make a motion.
Yeah.
Approve
Are there,
the street-
Yeah, I just want to make sure, were there any citizen comments about it? And Joe, you're,
Yeah, because there was no proposed traffic control needed for this, right? Or is there?
I think that was added last
It was
year.
added last year, but I don't.
yeah,
was
last
it-
year there was one.
yeah,
officer.
one officer.
So it's your fault.
I think Robbie said it wasn't really necessary, but I'm happy to do it for one more year, then if it's
Yes,
2 years in a row that we don't need it, then we don't.
Where do you think, like,
I think they were at,
No,
I thought it was for
they were at
thought it was
here,
the-
right?
early on when they were leaving. Cause they're crossing Route 12
Correct.
at Pomfret and Route 12,
Right.
where Janice Graham is.
That's
Cause they're crossing into like the 35 that's out of a 50 zone. So if you have blue
Yep.
lights there, I think it's pretty much, I don't think it's traffic control. I think it's just providing blue lights. There's a little warning when cars are coming up.
Yeah, slow them down on Route 12.
Yeah, exactly.
Joe, would you be concerned about, like, where Elm Street meets River, just because that's,
Tight corner.
No, we know.
I mean, because of course all the bikers are
Oh,
gonna stop at that stop
What they
sign.
might have done, why don't we do this, is either, well, there's 2 officers or 1. After the bulk or the crew has left, we can have them move and put
Okay.
blue lights somewhere. It can get a little crowded having a car in that intersection, but if we
Yeah.
put blue lights at like more place there,
Yeah,
that little driveway.
oh, that little tucked away.
Yeah,
Okay,
that might help.
Yep.
And then we'll know.
yeah, because people that don't know what that intersection is, people.
Yeah.
They get thrown
Yeah,
off. and
yeah,
then-
we can do that.
Okay, and that's a blind corner. Okay, yeah, I think that'd be, does that
Okay.
work for you?
All right, well, I move that we accept the Eastern States event on October 1st as presented with the discussion. That's just.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you so much. Thanks for bringing this
Thank you,
event to
Rachel.
Woodstock.
Yeah.
It's great.
Thank you so much for your.
I think we missed it.
Yes.
Again, blame Joe. Detailed presentation. Okay. Next is old business review of memorial ordinance.
We have the Spoon family.
What?
Spoon family.
Susanna Woodstock?
Woodstock.
Oh, it is?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah, the banner. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, Susanna Woodstock, yeah.
So Sustainable Woodstock, is there anybody on from Sustainable Woodstock? No.
This is pretty easy. Madam Chair.
Yeah.
You know, it's gonna be up for one day. The question is, can the crew, if we approve this, tonight, can the
I
crew put
move
this
that
up in the morning?
If the banner is available, yes.
Okay.
I'm not sure where the banner is.
And, can you contact Michael to do that? Just tell him it's
Yeah, I'll email him as
Okay.
soon as it's over.
great. And I make a motion that we approve the putting up of a banner as presented. Fees been paid. Yeah, 2 banners, one at each end of the green,
So it would just be for tomorrow.
just for tomorrow.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you, Gabe. for keeping me on
Well, it's
track.
actually tomorrow plus 13th, so. Tomorrow's the 12th.
August 13th.
Tomorrow's the 13th,
Oh, yeah.
so it's just tomorrow.
Okay. You're right.
But correct me anytime. Okay, now, yes. And Philip, and do we have Renee or Philip on? Oh, okay, Philip. Now
I'm
that
here.
you're, what's that?
I'm here.
Oh, you're here. Okay. Well, we can go back up to the top. We'd had you earlier on, for your nomination to the Historic Preservation Committee.
Right.
So can you tell us about why you'd like to join the Historic Preservation Committee,
Uh,
besides creating
I-
it?
right. And then I found out they were lacking one member, and so I've thrown in my hat. I work in preservation, and I think this is a great opportunity for the village to get some of the historic preservation funds that Montpelier distributes to the other certified local governments statewide. One of the things Stephen Bauer and I've talked about is perhaps looking at some funding to support better design guidelines that would affect the village, both the core of the village as well as the residential area. A lot of those areas are contiguous with the National Register District. And our work on the Village Design Review Board has shown that a fair bit of education is in order. And I think if we can have some materials to distribute, that would go a long way. This is money that the local residents would not have to, it wouldn't have to, the money comes from essentially the National Park Service once the commission is approved. So I guess I'd be the third person. And then at that point, everything goes up to Montpelier. They send it to the National Park Service. The Park Service comes back and says, Woodstock is a certified local government.
And this covers village and town, right? Trying to.
No.
This is just- Okay,
It's just the village. The town has to have its own separate one because of the separate
okay.
the fact that they're separate legal bodies. I don't know what's happening with the town one, but since I have a house in the village, I thought that was the appropriate one to join.
Good, they're on their own. Okay, does trustees, do you have any questions for Phil? Concerns? Citizen comments? Okay, then I would make a motion to approve Philip Newberg to be on the Village Historic Preservation Committee. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
I,
Any opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations, Philip.
And thank you, Phil.
Sure.
So,
Sure.
And Philip, can you stick around as we're about to talk about the memorial ordinance?
Oh, okay, sure.
You're-
Yeah, I did that one too.
You did. It's Philip night. So next, mark it off my list. So this is the memorial ordinance, which has been worked on for quite a long time. As a reminder, we started on this process because someone came to the trustees wanting to put up a bench to memorialize the Woodstock Dog Club. And we realized that we did not have a policy about this. So Phil very nicely spent a lot of time working up a draft of what he thought would be appropriate. And then we sent it to Stephen in the planning and zoning so that he could go through it and make sure everything was in line with planning and zoning. So he has made some changes, has sent it back to us. So it is now our job to look over this, see if we have any changes to make. If we have changes, then it needs to, we need to incorporate the changes. And then any of those changes, we need to then send it to the lawyer. And then the lawyer will take a look at it, make sure that we are within our legal bounds. And then it comes back to us to officially vote on the final draft. So I'm sure everybody took time over the weekend to read through it thoroughly and have marked it up.
I did.
So, let's start with, who has questions and comments? Jeffrey?
I have.
Yeah.
I have one, under maintenance, on page
Yeah.
4.
Hmm.
All monuments, memorials, markers, and plaques require proof of insurance bond or endowment fund which will cover the cost to replace or remove. The only thing that I'm thinking, when it comes to simple plaques,
Hmm.
I think that's a little over the top just for the category of simple plaques. To require an endowment fund for simple plaques, or I just don't think that's necessary. Although I can understand it for more complex things, benches and larger structures and so forth.
Unless it's like a plaque that's like this big, like,
Well, that's not simple, I think it's too big.
oh,
But I
what's the
could-
definition of simple? I don't know.
Small plaques, I could say small plaques, I don't know.
I
Seems like-
think I'm kind of off guard because I didn't realize we were going to discuss it, so I don't have open from me. I think in one part I attempted to prescribe the size, right? I think 3 feet or something, some square footage number.
Yeah, plaque shall be no larger than 3
it's
feet,
in the
made of
definition.
either cast bronze.
Right. I guess the idea might be that some kind of fund could be set up, whether it's this year or later. And again, I don't remember that part in particular, but the idea that, these things, when they do need to be cleaned, whose responsibility is it? Maybe it's something, the garden club or some other affinity group, chamber, but I think it's not a bad idea to have some kind of understanding that 50 years from now, plaque may need to be cleaned.
I get that part, Phil, and I should think that people who were invested in that plaque would want to do that, pass that on. I just think it's a little onerous to have an endowment fund
Right.
on top of the cost of a plaque
Well,
that's
it doesn't
generously
say.
donating. I don't know how to change the words so that it's not
Well,
necessary for simple plaques.
I think that my reading of it is, and I'll let the lawyer make decisions about this, but an endowment fund could be like $50 that
Right.
that just gets put into something. I think that the point is that anything, and we've had this conversation a lot about things that get created need to be maintained, whether that's a massive garden or,
Table binding.
yeah, exactly. And so making sure that that is built in. And of course, with this, we then have to, whatever we approve, we have to create an application and include all those specifics.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's something as simple as when the donor wishes to make the donation, they understand that there's 5% or there's some
That's a good idea.
additional amount that they do owe the town, and the town will hold that in a fund then that can be used for long-term care.
Got it.
That, Phil, this was just so open,
Yeah.
worded a bit loosely.
Well, I sort of combed through things that I could find, and I probably wasn't as ruthless in removing things that weren't, for us.
I mean, could that be replaced with something that says, donation funds shall include, sufficient amount of money to maintain for 10 years as designated by planning and zoning or as designated by the village trustees or something like that. I mean, how do you do that so that it works for a
Right.
plaque this big and a gazebo,
Well, yeah, for a gazebo and so forth, I think we need to have some very sufficient funds
Yeah.
to maintain. I'm thinking.
Well, that's why I like your wording of sufficient
Yeah.
fund, because it would seem to me elastic, but as you said, the attorneys can probably opine on that.
So,
Because a small plaque won't need much, but an architectural feature might.
Yeah, I mean, a plaque that's put on a bench.
Yeah.
Bronze plaque, I mean, it's not gonna need anything, basically.
No.
but if it's a plaque on gazebo,
Well, the gazebo will need
Yes.
something.
Yeah.
Yes. That's why I just wanted to limit it to plaques.
well,
I
but
just
it's
think it's-
all associated costs. So if the cost for cleaning a plaque is 5 cents, then we as trustees could waive that.
Right.
Okay, all right, okay.
Including existing plaques, the existing monuments.
No, this is all new
for
stuff.
future.
Yeah.
It's all
Yeah.
for future.
Yeah.
It's just that we're not spelling out exactly what it
Okay, well, let's, I mean, we don't have to
Endowment.
approve this tonight. Like, let's make,
Right.
make
Right.
suggestions and changes. And let's start tonight and then we can take all of them, send them to Eric. Get it updated and then continue next.
Well, anyway, Chair, the only thing that I came up with
Okay.
was concern about maintenance.
Okay, so
and
let's,
Wording.
um,
It's a valid concern.
okay, well, I have comments. Actually, does anybody else have comments or questions before I can go through my highlights? Okay. So one of the things in here is, you noted that this is not intended to address naming requests.
What page are you on?
The first
What-
page, under note, it says, these policies and procedures are not intended to address naming requests, which are reviewed and considered under separate village policies and guidance. Do we have that right now? Or is that's something that needs to be created? And
You don't have it. You don't have it.
And the term naming request, is that different than, because I
Yeah,
don't,
it is at the Philip Swanson, Emergency Services Building.
so that's a naming request,
Yeah.
whereas I put up a gazebo
I
and say
think-
donated by Seton McElroy. That's
Right.
not-
I think when you kind of charged me with this, or I volunteered, whatever, we one of the things that was also talked of was naming, because at that point, I think with the high school, there was
Okay.
some naming controversy going on. And I kind of wanted to stay away from that because I think that that's a whole nother
Different
topic.
thing.
Okay, so we really are talking about putting in a fountain or flowers or what plaques, okay.
Right, and then there's a commemorative plaque with it as opposed to a naming kind of.
Okay, and next under, just for clarification, under use of public space, you noted,
Page 1.
yes, page 1, under 1, use of public space, the
Mm-hmm.
last, part of that last sentence is, therefore, monuments, memorials, markers, and plaques should be carefully reviewed to appropriately balance these two public benefits to protect the greater good. About facilities and, you know, I think you were basically trying to say, we don't need to put a fountain and a gazebo on the green and then a garden and to look at, like, what makes sense, balancing with, we don't need more stuff, even if you're offering to pay for more stuff. Is that the intention?
Right, so that you, as a body politic, could say, thank you very much. We like it the way it is, or we would need to go through one of the things I think that I had also offered at the time was that the design review board could function, and so I built it in there. So yeah, it gives you a kind of out so that it does, like, the green doesn't just become a dumping ground for everyone's pets' ashes and this and that.
This does have built into it that it has to go through the planning and
Right.
zoning department, and so if they're like, no, it can't, because things can't be more than 6 feet tall or whatever it is.
Right, right.
Okay. Also, the community significance is kept pretty broad. My concern was what is significant to me might be different than what is significant to Jeffrey, and then it's
Right.
different than what is significant to, you know, Sally Smith, who was like, we really need to recognize this, I don't know, area of rocks in the river, and it's very important. And we're like, no one else thinks that. So do you have any guidance for, like, what significance community?
I guess what I didn't want to was some well-intentioned, well-endowed donor whose person they're memorializing really isn't the kind of towering figure like a Rockefeller was, or Marsh, or something like that,
Okay.
it should have, there should be a way to define societal or community good, as opposed to, I just want a statue of my deceased relative here, so because I know everyone walks by.
Okay. So that's more guidance for us.
Right,
Trustees may waive this requirement.
right.
Yeah, okay. And then the financial responsibility, and when something becomes the property of the village of Woodstock, mixing that with,
So-
later on, you talked
Yeah,
about.
I didn't know. I guess I was ignorant. I had heard it stated, and I'm restating it at the risk of sounding stupid, that there is no village property. Everything is town property.
Some of it is village property,
Okay,
and so the village can also own things that are on town property.
okay.
It's very
So
weird.
it probably needs some wordsmithing in that regard, because when I was drafting this, I wasn't quite certain of that.
Okay. Because also maintenance, if it was a
Mhm.
gazebo, that would be done by DPW, which is the town.
Mhm.
Okay,
Right,
So
but
we
like,
need to-
you know, like Teagle's Landing is village,
yeah,
and so is the stand.
yes, but the maintenance is done by Brenda.
Who is village? Business owner.
Yes, exactly. I live work. Okay. And then.
So you may want to look at 7 then too, because that assumes everything that's donated is owned by the town, and maybe you don't want that, or maybe the town doesn't want that.
It says improvements made on village property, become the property of the village.
Oh, you're looking at what Stephen marked up, and I'm only looking at what I submitted.
Oh.
So,
Oh, okay,
No, yeah,
Pard-
no,
pardon
this is
me.
Okay, the way this is reading.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Property becomes the property of the village. It doesn't say on town property.
Okay, good.
and then. The other question is. What is your recommendation, or what can we put in here? and one of the reasons that we wanted this was what we don't want is everybody to come in and be like, I would like to donate $5,000 for this, or I have $20,000 and it's important you know about my
Right.
dog. It's very important, but like, you know, how, do you have a recommendation for saying, looking at the different properties, the green, the other areas that we own, and saying no more than X number of things here, or do we do that with planning and zoning to make sure that things don't turn into sculpture gardens when it really is open green space?
Yeah, it's a hard one, right? Because I noticed this summer, so I think some additional trees went up as memorials along the inside, well, near the Spector's house. There had been a couple trees there to, I think, past fire fighters, fire chiefs, and I thought I noticed one or two more, but I may be mistaken. That's a tough one, you know. There may be to put a concrete number on it, and then
Yeah,
I think the review process will help that limit,
Yeah.
help limit.
And the wording in here allows that limitation.
And the trustees
Yeah.
have the final say over,
Right,
yeah.
right, so you can always,
Yeah.
yeah.
We had, just to review for everyone, I had reached out to the Garden Club and the East End Park for input. The only ones who really provided some input was the Garden Club, and probably, you know, they do a lot to maintain the planters there and so forth. But there really weren't substantive comments. I think a separate an amendment to this or a revision, maybe in a year's time, once, you know, East End Park is more established. I mean, I know it's already been in use, but we might want to look at that. But I wasn't getting the kind of response I wanted in order to return this quickly enough to you all. Maybe that's something with the design guidelines that I mentioned for the Village Historic Preservation Commission we could look at. Or
Okay. And there's nothing in here that says we can't go to another committee or advice. I feel like I want to take fountains out.
Well,
Because why would we want a fountain?
I don't know, but why take it out?
Originally, back in the day, there was a fountain in the middle of Elm Street.
Really?
oh yeah.
Yeah.
And there- I believe
Yeah,
there
I mean, I know where you're coming from in terms of maintenance and everything else, but I think maybe Jeff's right. This gives you the ability to have an elastic document, and at the end of the day, you have to approve. So,
And is your experience that these things kind of have to be vague? Because there's so many possibilities.
right.
Plastic is.
Yeah, okay, elastic.
One of the previous design review boards I was on, they didn't even allow, this was at the National Institutes of Health, unless the director so directed, you know, famous scientists, I mean, even someone of Fauci's, you know, character, they were trees. They were, that was what was allowed to be planted and to memorialize an individual. So there were the rare exceptions, but I think, you know, that's where a body like you all steps in and says, yeah, none of these things matter here because this person's contributions were so grand.
Anybody have any other comments or questions? So we'll take the changes, get them to Eric and then update this. And do you want to talk about it again next month, or do you want to send it so that we can then say, yes, that's what we want to go to the lawyer? Yeah, that works for everybody? Okay, Eric, that process? Okay. Thank you so much for working on this, Philip. I know it was like a big process.
I'm happy I could help.
I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. Okay,
Good night, everyone.
thank you.
Bye.
Okay. Next item is to new business. We have a request for a parking spot on 32 Central. I think that's Frank Rivera. I saw him
He
earlier.
was on, I think he might have came off, dropped off.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he sent a message, I think, because of how long everything was taking. He said if he could do it on October instead.
Okay, well then we'll move it to. Thank you, Nikki.
What's going in there?
Designees,
He wants to have
so you can see parking.
It is, it's a place.
Mexican, or-
It's a new.
No, so
Pizza?
the. Oh.
That's where the old,
no,
Oh, yeah.
I just heard the, so then-
All right, so it's that building.
Yes.
yeah, and then the flower shop.
Yep, and you're wanting parking.
So the letter that we got in your packet, wanted one parking spot for somebody handicapped that is, gonna be working in the building, and then,
One of the owners is.
asked about, two other spots, I believe.
Yes, 3 spots.
For all 3 spots behind the store.
For loading for delivery.
They want all 3 spots, with one of them being handicapped.
Where did those businesses there have those spots before?
No, those
No,
are not, those are.
Those are for public parking.
Yeah. So, if he's,
We made one exception, as you know,
Yeah.
based on what,
Furniture.
based on the size of what the
Yeah.
business was carrying.
And it's open to
And
can
It's,
of
it's
worms.
open to can of worms. Although still that sets it apart from any of the other businesses in terms of the size and necessity to get large objects in out the door. But we need to
yes,
go forward with maybe talking about parking, including Mechanic Street lot. And
Yes.
everything else, and that might help this.
yes. Well, let's
Well,
talk about that.
Well, that could be part of the budget discussion as well. Because, we should definitely look at additional revenues. And, you know, where people could park for 2 hours now on Elm Street and then pay for a parking meter, we should.
Well, that will bring up, so we're gonna, okay, so for this
Yes, if
item,
you get a little further.
so
away
we're tabling, but
Yeah.
from TD Bank.
we'll come back to it,
I shall-
table until October. So, the next item is the discussion of foliage. We lost Joe. So every year, similar things happen for foliage. We get similar comments, complaints. It's a busy time. But we've talked about, Eric and Ray and I, and then I've talked to all of you about, and then Beth, we've had a lot of conversations about how can we manage foliage better for residents, for businesses, and for visitors. So the main areas that we've talked about are things that we can be doing are possibly additional bathrooms, better signage, greeters, and then anything else that we can think of. I emailed Joe and Beth ahead of time and asked them to talk to us about what they were gonna do. Some of the things that I talked to Joe about that we can follow up with him about is helping to manage the traffic a little bit by having people more visible out with the crosswalks and that sort of thing. And also putting by the covered bridge where there are sort of those hash marks in front of the bench that's there. A lot of people will park there even though you can't park there, or they'll like put their car there, leave it running, and then run and take their pictures, which is just not safe at all. So talked about maybe putting sawhorses there, and then sawhorses on either side of the bridge where there's also those hash marks that are not parking spots, but again, people like stop and go and take their pictures just to keep that traffic flowing, especially when there are.
Kind of ruin their photo.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, that's. the
No, but
steps.
it's back though.
Okay, I just think that the people enjoy taking pictures of that bridge.
Oh, no, they should,
I
no,
don't think it would look good, honestly.
but the problem is people stop their cars and they park illegally, and unless you have,
You're not
officers
you're not
there.
gonna stop it. It's
They're
gonna happen,
stopping
it's gonna
everywhere.
happen. Any place there's a pretty pumpkin and a pasture, it's gonna happen and you can't do anything about it. It's
It's a 3-week event.
yeah.
but it's next to a major crosswalk and it's illegal to do.
So,
I mean, we have the rules, so do we try to enforce them or do we not?
but how? It's a question of how we enforce. it.
Well, I
I
think,
mean, if we have a patrolman on duty in the village, he goes up to that car and says, you have to move.
but we're not gonna have that, we can't have somebody there all the time, so how do we? If we know that there are issues. I'm thinking of this year as, and subsequent years of, what are the pain points? What can we start trying? And if putting up barriers doesn't work, then we won't do it anymore. Maybe we try for 1 week, maybe we test it out Columbus Day weekend or Indigenous Peoples' Day weekend. And if it doesn't work and it sucks, then that's fine. But we want visitors, we thrive on visitors, but we have residents who we need to keep safe and we need to keep traffic flowing. So to say it's more important for somebody to take a picture than to keep traffic
You're not gonna
moving.
Stop them from doing anything.
I know you can't stop them, but what we can do is we can better direct people.
Managing methods.
Well, signage is important. That's gonna talk about some signage. She already has a brand new sign. That's fantastic. But to just throw up our hands and say, oh, it's a busy spot where people walk, so we're gonna let people park there and not pay attention.
Well,
It's-
how many people actually do that? I mean,
Lots. I mean, every
I've-
time I
I've-
go across the bridge to take the kids to school.
at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yes, at 8 o'clock. All hours. And I mean, and I understand it. I understand people are gonna be standing on the bridge. It is not safe, but people do it. I think people in town
People always do
Are-
it with weddings, no
are-
matter what.
are cautious, but
Tell you what,
it's
I think we should
not-
monitor it more for this year and then make a decision for next year, because I just don't, I have not really seen it to be a huge problem. Jeffrey, have you?
No, I mean, it's just for 3 weeks, it's very busy in the village.
and,
Yeah,
and
I
busy
guess-
is
But I
fine.
haven't seen any accidents. Yeah, they covered. it.
Yeah.
And so in terms of safety, there's no historical sense I have that things happen there that have hurt people.
Down a road because people are on people's lawns peeing and having picnics and people are upset about that. I mean, I just feel like we really need to stop and think about what we're doing. And if tourism is a business that we want to be into, I think that we need to figure out kinder, better ways possibly to handle the people that are coming to our village.
I agree. And can we do that in a way that is also looking out for safety and traffic?
What if we got a volunteer to possibly just kind of stand there and maybe offer to take pictures for people and maybe decorate it up so that people can't park there, put some bales of hay and some pumpkins there so that people can't park
It's better than.
That's
Well-
that's a better idea.
Yeah, if
And,
you wanna, I'm
idea.
all for other ideas.
Yeah, I like that idea better than software.
Sorry, much better.
there. Yeah, I guess.
So tall things, so just
Yeah.
a whole bunch of hay bales?
No, just like 2, 3 big hay bales and pumpkins and decorate it up. So if you're taking away a parking spot and
Well, it's not a
now,
parking spot.
well, right.
Yeah,
but
I'm
you're
not talking
taking
about
away-
parking spots.
You're taking away a spot that people tend to park in and you're turning it into now beautification spot.
My one question would be,
Yes.
the flower pots, we learned you're not supposed to put flower pots, things that are decorative on the state road because it's not our road. But if-
No, but she's talking about putting them in the hash mark section.
Yeah, but that's the state road,
Well, how can you put a sawhorse in there?
because that would be a police safety issue, which is different than a decorative issue.
Well, the hay bales are the same thing as sawhorse. Except they're softer if you crash into it, safer.
I am open to things. I would want to just run that by the state because we got in trouble with those flower pots. And so my understanding, and I will defer to Joe, I will defer to lawyers.
Yeah.
But if it is one thing is a safety police measure and one is a decorating thing and there's a difference between those two, that's fine. I am happy to look at other
And the flower
options.
pots, remember, were on either
Yeah, they
side
were.
of crosswalk in the
Yeah.
road.
Yeah.
In the road.
Yeah.
And we're not talking about that situation here.
Yeah.
We're talking about putting them in sections, not where vehicles travel.
I think this might be unfortunate that the chief can't be here because he probably could provide more guidance on it. So it's something I talked to him tomorrow about what options he thinks, whether hay bales could be considered a police move or if they wouldn't be, you consider decorative not be an issue, or if he has other suggestions besides the thing he suggested. Sawhorses, yeah.
Or they have those
They
orange
just-
things.
Yeah, they just don't look that attractive.
Yeah.
We can wrap them in something. Can you put we can put the sawhorses and the hay bales on top of it. We can
One of the
decorate them.
problems within the village that people have.
Eating is the biggest problem. It's
Well,
not,
yes.
it's not on here.
Well,
What is it?
Well, then
Eating.
let's add it.
Eating, food is the biggest problem.
talking about.
Yeah,
Actually.
I was actually.
Okay, well, that's also, so that was one of the concerns, and then, Beth, do you want to talk about what you're doing with the greeter and the signs?
Who by the bus.
Well, I have a couple, first of all, buses park there, and I think that's a big problem
Okay.
at the covered bridge. And I think at that spot. I also am wondering if for the next few weeks, and I think that Jeffrey doesn't care for these, but is there a way to put one of those orange, either trash cans or the pedestrian? We had some signs that you put in the middle of crosswalks to call attention to the crosswalks. And I think now is the time, especially that crosswalk from the green over to the covered bridge, because that's all of a sudden that's a 2-lane highway. People speed up there. They pass each other. I mean, it's kind of crazy when you're sitting when I'm sitting at the market on the green and watching people. And I'm just wondering if traffic calming might be something that we could do, especially at that crosswalk.
Want something that says pedestrian crosswalk on it?
No, Jeffrey, you know
No,
those
it's-
things that we put in the middle of the road, they look like, they're like orange, kind of,
Barrel, yeah.
yeah, that say crossing.
3 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
They're
road,
just orange,
yeah,
pedestrian. We've had all of those that you,
We've used them in the past.
Yeah.
I don't have any objection to that.
okay. Can I just say that it's really difficult? I don't know if your little speakers aren't. It is really hard to hear
Okay.
anybody but Seaton and
Oh.
Joe.
Oh, do you guys have one?
We're probably.
Yeah,
Make sure.
so, yeah, we have used those in the past. I have no objection to those.
Okay.
In crosswalks.
Yeah.
If we,
Especially when you just talked about each.
cars are gonna hit them, but so what?
Yeah, especially at that crosswalk where, again,
becomes
you're
2
at
lanes.
2-lane traffic. Okay, so I have refurbished the sign.
It looks
um,
so nice.
That points on both sides to the welcome center and restrooms. It would be good to have something at Mechanic Street. Something larger than the 4-inch sign that's, the 2x4-inch sign that's on the wall. And I don't know zoning wise what we could do, but I think that would be helpful, for the next few weeks, to point people in the right direction. Just a thought. And, that's up to you folks.
you decorated the sign up, Beth.
What?
What if you decorated the sign up with like some leaves or something?
For a big arrow.
The sign is so little.
Yeah.
I
it's
mean,
so
I don't
fun.
know if you've noticed it, but on your way to
Yeah, I
work
have.
tomorrow,
Yeah,
it's,
That's-
I mean, it's attractive, but it's useless for the most part.
So something on that corner.
Yeah.
It-
Um,
Welcome center this way and then you don't know where to
could you
turn.
put up a sandwich board temporarily?
well, that's my question to you folks. I have one. I could have another sign made. People are going to be working at 33, if whatever it is, at the Mountain Creamery building. Um, so it would probably go on the east side of Mechanic Street. But
Put some,
that's up to you guys.
you put some
um,
hooks in the wall and hang something that's.
But we don't own that
We
wall.
don't
Oh, I
own
see.
that, that's the Smiths own that building.
Yeah, I'll ask them.
There are hooks on the wall, though. You have to remember, because
Hmm.
there's a sign there.
Well, there is a sign there, yeah. But if we did something temporary that just, I don't even think welcome center, just restrooms with an arrow.
Well,
Something as simple as that.
well, if it looks the same as the one that she's
Oh,
done,
bigger.
yeah, well, the one that she's.
Oh, no,
done
no,
is
oh,
big.
no, not the one she's done. The
Okay.
One on
she's done
Mechanic
is-
Street.
He's bigger than, just restrooms.
Yeah.
Just big with an arrow
But the question is,
Well-
does it go on a sandwich board? Does it,
on, at eye level would be great.
Yeah.
and then how do we affix it if we don't own that?
We can ask,
big,
we
we've
can
asked.
ask the Smiths if we could put it up for 3
If they
weeks.
could, we just hang it temporarily.
What dates are you thinking of?
Well,
Like October, like,
just thinking of,
1 through
it's,
21.
September 30th for 3 weeks forward.
I would do the 23rd of
Hmm.
September.
The first,
to what the.
It was busy today. There were a lot of people looking for information today.
Yeah, today was,
And so through the 14th, the 21st.
21st. Thanks.
21st,
That's 4 weeks.
that's 4 weeks.
And at this point, I will be talking about greeters probably from the last week in September through at least the 3 weeks between 2 weeks into October,
So through the 14th.
Buses can stop.
to greet buses.
Have you
And I'm-
heard that, have you firmed that up, the greeters?
No, I have not. I have firmed it up with the EDC. There's funds there. I have to
Yeah, I
hire
know,
someone.
but you have to find someone. It's getting kind of late to find someone.
I don't, I think it will be fine. Quite honestly.
What hours are you looking at? Are you looking at like peak hours, like
Yeah,
9 to 3 or
yes.
every day?
I don't, probably for the weekends, yeah.
So like a Thursday through Sunday?
It should be every day in October.
Well, if there's money.
These people have to be well versed in Woodstock and answer questions.
Oh, yeah,
gotta-
they definitely, well, and they're really pointing people, they're welcoming people. We'll have our Windows on Woodstock guide there, some of those, cartoon maps. I'd like to be able to put a tent, a easy up canopy there and leave it there. And with a table and, point people in the direction of the welcome center because we have that fully staffed.
And yeah, and those greeters would also be able to tell people where they could obtain food.
Right.
Especially with the schedule, as tough as it is.
And you said you all had worked on, we talked about this months ago, but you had like a spreadsheet that's like, these things are open on these days and these times.
Yes,
Okay,
Yep.
and you've got an updated version of that you can hand out or laminate it or,
I can, yeah.
Are like seeds for trees gonna do anything on the green?
you haven't asked.
I thought they did.
They said yes.
I thought you gave them permission.
We did,
Yeah, we did a while ago, but.
we did, but we need to get in touch with
Yeah,
John Hires or
What were these?
Chris or Bristow.
Yeah.
Bristow.
Carrie
Oh,
Bristow.
it's Carrie
Terry
Bristow.
Bristow.
What were these?
They were serving.
They did chili and they did hot
really
dogs
good
once.
chili,
Yeah,
That's
dog
good.
food.
We'll need that good enough. Less hungry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And especially important that they be there Sunday and Monday.
Right.
Sunday and Monday, it's just ridiculous.
is there any way that we could put something maybe on the listserv to see if there's any other, nonprofit groups that might want to do that?
Yeah, that would be a great idea.
Well, and we have to give them, we didn't adopt the permit thing, but we can
In the past, we've allowed 3.
Yeah. But that was on the green, so would this be also on the green?
Yeah.
Okay.
green,
Yeah.
on the green.
Okay,
But that's a really good idea. I
okay.
mean, it's,
See if there's any, nonprofits out there that are interested in,
Sunday and Monday.
Yeah.
Sunday and Monday,
Okay.
critical 2 days.
what about even Saturdays?
Well,
We
Saturdays
had
are
that conversation
busy,
last
but,
year.
At least all the places are open.
How do you find these greeters? I mean, you're gonna have them staffed every day for 3 weeks. That's a lot of people. You have people in
Well-
mind, obviously, ready, yes?
Right. I will definitely be working on that. I've had some phone calls requesting a position.
People wanna do it.
Oh, good.
These are all volunteers, right?
No, they.
No.
she
No,
has-
they're
You
paid.
have a stipend for them. Oh, you have a stipend.
that's-
Okay,
that's their pay.
never mind, sorry.
Okay.
And so what about bathrooms?
So, so for bathrooms, sort of options are, we can try again with, we've done bathroom, or at least
Word of-
the bathrooms between behind the courthouse. I believe that, and if we're looking at that, we have to decide how many days, because the prices change depending on how many days that you do. I looked into, because I've gotten a lot of comments of, why don't you get one of those trailers? So I looked into trailers and I asked for 3 days. So I just looked at Indigenous Peoples Weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, with 3 cleanings, so a cleaning every day. And it would be for that weekend, about $3,300,
Just for that week.
just for one weekend. And that's assuming that they can hook up to our water and hook up to our electricity, so that they don't have to have a
Where would you-
generator.
where would they park?
Could I just say something? I know that this is a concern to you folks, and if we have one day of 1,000 people, we have managed that. People don't want to walk. That's the difference.
Well, or people can't
I
walk,
would, what?
or people can't walk.
Well, I don't believe that.
Well, I mean, my mom can't do that. I mean, she went down to Puppies and Pooches and I was like, let me take you home. Because it takes her a long time to walk places, and it's, and it's fine, and people need to know their own know what they can manage. But for me, it's a combination of people who might not be able to do that, which a lot of times is bus people, and that's might be a different issue. But my other concern is people going into the library, and despite what the signs that they put up, and they do their best, the library their bathrooms get destroyed. So if you're not seeing them in the welcome center, it might be because they're at the library,
Or at the end.
or
Well,
at the inn, or at the
They
rec
weren't
center.
letting people, last year they didn't let people in the library at all.
Well,
I mean-
I think some got by.
And, I had spoken, I think, quickly yesterday about the possibility of, on a couple of those days, having it cleaned, the bathrooms cleaned twice a day. That would be my only request
In the welcome center.
in the Welcome Center.
Yeah. So
Because
it's-
they do get incredibly busy.
Oh, I'm sure.
Good idea. Beth, what are the peak days? It's not, it's certainly that second weekend in October.
Well, Columbus Day weekends typically seems to be the busiest.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
That's not even, let's see,
That's the night.
I think the peak weekends, I think it will be busy from October 1 to October 18th or 20th. I think those 3 weeks in October.
Well, yes, of course, but don't you have records of days?
Oh, yes, the peak day has historically been the Sunday and Monday of Columbus Day weekend.
That makes sense.
8th and 9th.
And I can go back. I don't have that at home with me, but I do have.
And those days, you think that the Welcome Center is handling those bodies, those 2 days? Or is there a line on those 2 days?
There's only a line very, very rarely. I will not say that there's not been a line.
It's not like Wausau.
No. Except for that, maybe that one day. I mean, again, I did not bring that home with me, but I can think of one day. And quite honestly, if it's all women, they can go in the men's room too. I mean, then you have 6 opportunities, to move people through.
Well, I don't know. Seems to me that for that busiest time, how expensive would it be to have porta potties
It's for the weekend.
for Columbus weekend? Couldn't be that much.
Less, I mean, certainly, but, would it be putting them behind the?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can get quotes for that,
I think men would use them.
yeah, and
I don't
again,
mean
we
to be-
broke off, the courthouse isn't open on that Monday, is it? Yeah,
I don't know.
it's a federal holiday,
Federal holiday.
so then it would be Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Columbus weekend. I think.
I will say town hall will be open that Monday. It's not a holiday for the town, so the bathrooms will be open here as well.
Yeah,
And that's the other thing,
people tend not to travel out.
Yeah, I'm saying.
Yeah.
Option. But I think if we look into that weekend, we'll be doing something to patch the busiest weekend.
I will get some quotes,
Who owns the library?
the library,
Who funds the library?
and us.
So I don't understand why they would be so upset to not allow people to use the bathroom when a lot of their funding comes from local people. And these are people coming to our community. And I just think it would be a generous thing to do, and the library should be open to everybody, whether, doesn't matter what color, race, or whatever. I mean, I don't understand why they would be so negative against anyone using their bathroom other than they make a mess.
And I think that has been their concern, is that it gets broken and it gets messy, and they are not equipped, or they have not traditionally been equipped to manage that. So it was trying to relieve the pressure on them, because people go in there all the time. Now legally, people can, of course, but they are a private business. People apparently also go into the rec center. And that's a whole thing too. And then also go into the bathrooms at Vale Field, and that becomes a mess as well. So I'm trying to relieve the pressure on other places. And maybe that's not our job as the municipality. Maybe that's not our job. I feel like it is, but
I think it is. I think.
Yeah,
I mean, it's something we might want to have a larger conversation with
Yeah.
those businesses after this season of what can we do to encourage them to be more open to have the facilities open.
what if I don't know, like, what if we hired someone to do like a daily roundabout to clean these
Yeah,
places?
that could be
Yeah.
a compromise, yeah.
You know,
And because we also have businesses that provide food one way or the other and don't have bathrooms. So it's not just like, oh, you go into a restaurant and use the bathroom.
yeah.
So we do really have.
Restaurants without bathrooms? Isn't
Yeah.
that illegal?
Well, no.
Well,
but
Where?
they take
No,
out
they
food.
have bathrooms.
The butcher
Yeah.
shop doesn't have a bathroom,
It's not a
It's a-
restaurant, it's
Not
a,
a sit-down
it's-
restaurant.
takeout.
yeah, but it's a place where you get food. And I'm saying it's a place that you get food and there's nowhere to go afterwards. I mean, it's fine. It's nothing, it's not a knock against them. It's just knowing that that's something that happens.
right.
So. And again, this is, I'm trying to, like, let's try things, and if they don't work, then we won't do them again. But we know that this is an issue that comes up every year. I hear from residents, I hear from the library, I hear from other people about this being an issue. So let's do something about it. It's our job. So if we want to try just regular porta potties, Indigenous Peoples Weekend, I'm happy to get a quote on that.
Great, let's do that.
Okay, so I will work on that. Do you want to talk about trash pickup, Eric? That's
Yeah.
also another.
Yeah.
So, Casella typically picks up every Monday. We pay him for that. For foliage season, we're gonna have DPW guys Thursday morning, pick up trash in the village. And then we're gonna have someone on call on Saturdays to pick up trash as well if needed. So, during peak times, there should be pickups during the week to help mitigate any overflow.
Who's gonna do the call?
Mark Hunter so we're gonna have the guys start off doing it on Saturday, and then if it's not necessary, we'll go back.
Okay,
But just because the contract, we had to pay him 3 hours, we want to make sure it'll be worth it.
What about, don't we have additional trash buckets that we can put out as well?
We do, if we
do.
want to, we put them out, yeah.
Watching, we could.
Yeah,
Maybe on the green, we should maybe do that?
yeah, I mean, and honestly, it's like putting them right next to the ones that get used the most, which sounds ridiculous, but
But no, that's not.
one will be full and then across the street, it won't be full, and you're like, just go across the street, but
The one, like the one in front of the Mountain Creamery,
yeah,
that one.
the one in front of the library, the one in front of the butcher shop
One in
is
front of the butcher.
constantly full.
Yeah.
The Welcome Center,
The Welcome Center, okay, oh yeah,
it's always full.
And we're happy to do that as long as the trustees are okay with more trash.
We didn't want to sale now.
Oh, I think we should do it.
yeah,
Yeah,
Just
I
during,
think so
just
too.
during that peak period.
so those 3 weeks, or those, whatever that date that we just said.
These Mark can empty these more often than Casella's gonna do it. That's what you're saying, right?
Yeah, because Casella would charge us more for a second pickup, so doing the Thursday pickup, the guys are already on duty, so it won't be an added cost.
Where do they take it?
They'll probably just take it back to the DPW and I picked up there.
They have huge dumpsters.
They have your
Yeah.
Yeah, you think it's picked up by Casella anyways. And then on Saturday, the overtime overall rate will be cheaper than having Casella come and do it anyway, so.
Sure, much better. Yeah,
Makes sense.
great.
And so if Sunday morning things are full, then they're just full.
We picked, I mean, we can always have someone come in and pick it up when we need to.
Okay.
We have enough people living in Woodstock that shouldn't be an issue.
That's gotta be great, because
Yeah,
it didn't work last year.
yeah, I think that's a great way to handle that.
And Beth, is that something just to have sort of more eyes on it, having the business owners, because they are walking around more often as opposed to like, I'm walking the dog and I'm like, oh, hey, Eric, by the way, can you just have them call in somewhere or whatever the best way of communication is, if it's
Tell
like,
me how to communicate it and I can do that.
or maybe I'm giving you more work, so you can tell me to stop.
No, I think, if you, Beth, maybe you can go to you, to me.
Okay,
I just want to empower them, like, especially like
If-
Alex just gets full all the time for a variety of reasons.
Yeah.
And if he can just be like, hey, this is full. So it doesn't sit until Monday.
Yeah, so Beth, you could send something out to your list.
Yes,
That's-
you can hand
that's-
it around.
We're making an effort.
Yeah.
The village is making an effort to improve trash pickup during the busy foliage season. And in that regard, if you meaning whoever you sent your email to, if any business owner sees an overflowing or close to overflowing trash, please contact the chamber office and we will relay that information to the municipal manager.
Yep. Yep.
Something along those.
Actually, while we're on that discussion,
Yeah.
if I could raise another topic about the trash containers. One thing I've been noticing lately a lot, right in front of TD Bank, I notice it all the time. That one double trash container there. I'm not sure how it happens, but trash ends up getting around the buckets.
Yes.
And it looks disgusting and it's really been bothering me and.
Around it on top?
No,
No.
inside,
Oh,
inside and around it underneath on the bottom. Yeah. I mean, like maybe if all of us trustees said, I'll do this one, you do this one, and we just take a
Clear.
day and, like take a little whisk broom, clean it all up. I think we should do that before foliage happens. It really looks terrible.
So I cleaned that up one day after I then tasted Woodstock, and then I had DPW go and clean it up after me, because I couldn't get
The
everything.
one in front of TD?
Yes. and
Yeah, that one does get all,
So, I mean, that
Yeah.
happened, what was that, 2 months ago?
Yeah.
Not even, so it's an ongoing issue, clearly, so we talked about it.
it's like a weird design flaw.
Yeah, I don't know, there
It
must just
is.
be rum behind it that things fall off or something.
Yeah.
It's not flushing up to the wall.
Okay.
So, I mean, I don't know how you want to handle it, but I'm happy to like, do a couple.
Shifts.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind clearing it out when I walk past with the dog. It's fine.
Yeah, I don't mind either. And maybe we can just pick a day if you guys want and say, hey, Sunday morning, 8 o'clock, let's all meet. Let's do them all, get them all done.
And then we go to Teal's Landing, and then we go.
And then we can go to Brenda's for drinks. Okay. Beth, did you have anything else about foliage that you wanted to talk about?
No, let's hope that it's a strong foliage season.
All right, what was our conclusion on food?
Oh, we're gonna reach out to see if more nonprofits wanna.
Nonprofits.
Okay.
Okay, so,
So, yeah, so that needs to go on the listserv.
okay, who wants to talk to trees and seas? Does anybody have an exact?
I'll call.
Okay.
Okay, so Jeffrey's gonna talk to Carrie. And what do we want the listserv thing to say? To say nonprofits to sell food on the green?
Yep.
Sundays and Mondays from September, what do we say? The 24th through
Yep.
October 18th or,
Sunday and Mondays, definitely.
24th is Sunday. 24th of September is a Sunday,
yeah,
Yeah, starting with the 24th.
24th through the,
22nd, 23rd.
through the 22nd
And
and 23rd.
Yeah.
Too bad we couldn't find somebody that like makes old fashioned cider. To make cider on the green and like sell it,
Donuts.
but that wouldn't be a nonprofit.
But why does it have to be a nonprofit?
Well, exactly,
We can't even find a farmer to do that on one Wednesday.
I mean, I don't see why it has to be nonprofits. We just want to limit the number that we have.
Yeah, as long as we have a public discussion about it. I mean, we have had this discussion and have had significant blowback, so I'm happy to have the discussion.
We have nonprofits every Wednesday. All through
Oh,
the
no,
summer.
but people that are for profit.
I mean, we have for-profits.
Yes, no,
already.
I agree with you. And if that's a decision the trustees want to make, I'm happy to have the discussion and vote on
Kickback
it.
came from the people.
But we need to but there has to be a vote on it because our rules say that there has to be, so. I'm fine. We have to grant
Last year,
variance.
Well, I don't think we should do it all the time. I mean, I would make a motion that during the foliage period of September 24th through October
yeah,
23rd, we allow profits and profits to be on the green. 3 stations.
I agree.
Okay, well, let me look at the,
Yeah, let's just make sure.
yes, let's make sure that we're doing this all by the book.
Beth, did I see it on the listserv recently where someone was looking for apples? Because they were gonna make their own homemade cider and they wanted apples. Did I see that on the listserv?
I saw that too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Does anybody recall what day that might have been? Maybe we could get a hold of that individual and ask them if they would be willing to do a presentation.
I want food on the green.
Well, but apple cider would be of interest at least to people and something to drink.
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe they could make apple cider donuts.
it's 3 stations plus 1 liquid station. But that-
What about bourbon and apple cider?
That goes well together.
Oh,
Apple bourbon.
Okay. So what we've got is under our Woodstock Village ordinances, Title 9, Chapter 2, Section 9206. A permit may be granted to a nonprofit organization from Woodstock to carry on organized activities, notwithstanding the fact that in connection with such activities, the other persons not qualifying as a nonprofit organization from Woodstock may profit therefrom, provided some measure of benefit is derived for the nonprofit organization. And then,
So you didn't just.
Yeah. keep going,
Go
yeah,
to
please do.
section N of the same ordinance at the back.
Yes,
It says the Board of Village Trustees
Yes.
has the authority to grant permits that are not in strict conformance with these standards.
which on the next page says, any persons may apply to the Board of Village of Trustees for a variance from the requirements of this chapter when making applications for a permit to the village green for good cause shown. The Board of Trustees may, in its sole discretion, either grant or deny the variance. If the variance is granted, the Board of Village Trustees may impose reasonable conditions to said variance. So I'm reading that as we need to vote on a variance. And this, the way that this is written sounds like somebody has to come and ask for a variance.
Right, so there's just, we can't vote on it until somebody asks. But we can have a special meeting. to-
So
to
the
short-
the trustees could suggest publicly that they will take permits for profit organization for the food.
With a request for a variance,
Yes.
and then we can vote on the variance.
Okay.
And we have the ability to, and certainly we can do that at another meeting.
Before
Or even, yeah, special meeting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
chances are you're not gonna get somebody this short
trade notice. yeah.
notice. That's,
Well-
that's a business person.
But we can put it out, and again.
You
next
know, we
year
could try.
it's Clear.
Short notice, it's,
What about the lady that
Yeah.
does the things on the green there?
Empanadas?
Yeah,
oh, Anna,
Love Anna at any time.
but just have a
I'll take
conversation.
her any
with
day.
her.
And I mean, there's a
She was
market.
there, she was there for the art festival on Sunday.
She's not gonna be there tomorrow, but there is, the market on the greens tomorrow. We can talk to vendors tomorrow as well and just.
yeah, what about that
That's a good
pizza
idea.
guy, the guy that does the pizzas?
So,
That would be good. Can you do that, Eric?
Yeah.
That'd be
So
good.
with the, so that means that with the application, we need to also. We don't have an application for a variance, so that's something that we just have to like write in.
We could just make the variance.
yeah, I think they'll ask the variance when they come.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so when they bring their permit, they'll say, and I'm asking for a variance or whatever. Okay,
And then there's the lady, I don't know if it's Thai food.
Oh, the newer vendor, yeah, that's the.
oh yeah, they were there last week or 2 weeks.
Yeah,
ago.
they've been there the last few weeks
Okay,
and they always sell out, so I assume it's good.
yeah.
It is
So-
good, it is good.
Sundays and Mondays,
Sundays and Mondays.
not Saturdays.
There'd
I think we'll get less blowback. if
be
it's-
less blowback if we limit it to Sundays and Mondays from the other businesses.
Do you have all that, Eric? For Nikki? Okay. Any other foliage topics to bring up?
Nope. The roads being closed down. I guess it was this town that was gonna close down. Man.
Yeah, so that's
That's not in our jurisdiction.
not our
Right,
jurisdiction.
yeah. Are there any other ones, just out of curiosity, like that are being shut down?
No,
Not,
That one.
Okay.
nothing.
Well, they have that issue because it's considered to be the most photographed,
Yeah.
area
And
of
it's a public
Vermont.
safety.
Right.
And they're there every year. And I used to take that drive and a lot of other drives and there's, you talk about the traffic, people pull off the road all of a sudden at a lot of these places and they do it here in town. I've had people come up on my porch and, peer into the house and
Yeah.
they sit,
too.
I've seen them sitting in front of the Spector's house having lunch, people on their stoop.
Right.
And I've seen it on Loving the Green. They go sit on the Adirondack chairs and
Yeah.
yeah, it's all over. It's just,
Sure does,
it's part of what we have to deal with.
It's,
And is that
Welcome to Woodstock, my
Yeah,
porch is
I mean,
your
it's a-
porch.
right?
It comes with the territory.
Well, it kind of does.
Yeah, right? Yeah,
It's like. when
you have to
you're on the-
embrace it.
Yeah.
As long as they're not doing anything crazy.
Just be
Alright,
thankful that they think your house is so pretty, they want to sit on your porch.
Well, I
right?
wouldn't know that. I'm thankful they come here.
Yeah.
Because
And If they didn't,
Right. we need to,
Okay, so our next item on the agenda is the Halloween discussion about,
no, creation of,
buying candy.
yes, I think we should.
We have discretionary money set aside where we could pull, last year we pulled $750 out to purchase candy. We usually also ask the select board to match that. Is there any discussion about that? Any public comment about it?
Nope.
No.
Okay, then I would make a motion to take $750 from our discretionary fund to purchase candy for the Halloween on
High Street.
High Street, Golf and Maple.
Second.
Is there, okay, all in favor, say aye.
I,
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries.
But you're gonna communicate with,
Okay,
Patty?
yes, absolutely.
what if we also did like some kind of a barrel
Donation,
here?
yes.
Yeah, at the town hall, maybe where people could come in and donate and we could advertise it on listserv.
And the school, done
Um,
West in the past.
Yep, and just have like a big barrel that people can come and donate candy to.
Also with this,
Did it at the school, you get more.
yeah, we can do it at the school, and I'm always happy to pick that up there anyway. We also talked about in the past, last year, we've also sent out, letters like 2 weeks ahead of time to all those houses. The police in the past have been nice enough to walk those letters around.
Right.
Just to be like, hey, you're getting it, and if you don't want it, please just give it to a neighbor.
About the
So,
candy, you mean?
yeah, because people will be like, well, I didn't want it, or I'm like, just.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
they're closed.
Well, or there's second homeowners, and so then we'll find out that no one's in the house, and so then you leave candy and gets eaten by raccoons, and that's an issue. Then you have
Happy
hyped up
raccoons.
happy raccoons, and then wrappers all over the place, which is not good. Can
Darn
you,
it.
next time you talk to Joe, ask him if they can do that again this year? And then anybody who wants to help hand out candy, and we can talk about it in October, Gabe would love to do it again. But he would also love to help, because it really does, once we get the candy and divide it up, I mean, it took us like 5 or 6 hours, so
What, really?
I think that's how long it took us last year.
To put the candy and distribute it and all that?
Yeah.
Maybe? Yeah, because we had to
Because
put
we had to
together a
take
lot of
candy,
bags.
divide
Gotta
it
take
into
them all
bags.
out, divide it up so that, you're not giving people 2 pieces of candy and somebody gets 12.
It's,
You just,
yeah.
I mean, you could.
Um,
Yeah, I know, you're.
We'll have to bring scales and weigh it out.
no, it's just, yeah. Or maybe when Nikki orders it this year, we ask her to buy smaller bags. If we know we have X number of houses, say, get this many bags so that these houses can each have 2 bags, or whatever. Okay, we'll talk about those logistics.
I will see if I can help. I would have to do so. I think we
It's
could
so
have fun with it.
fun.
We could even dress up.
Well, now you're pushing it.
Ooh, Barbie, Barbie, okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Is there any other
You can.
business to come before the,
Yes, the creation of the
yes,
Form of
oh,
subcommittees.
yes, thank you.
So something we talked about before, we want to start creating is just have designated people on the boards to look into certain subjects outside of the meeting, and then report to the board if they found either as 2 people or with a member of the select board, and really just be able to fully our boards really get issues that we can't discuss all the time in meetings. Still don't have any decisions right now beyond what that designation, but some I thought of quickly would be foliage. I think that'd be someone to have someone soon, so they could actually observe this year. We're talking about by the bridge, about land, talk about bathrooms, and really have after foliage, you then talk to everyone, get some insight report back, so we can start working on that in November this year, not in August of next year.
Yeah.
We're getting ordinances and going through and updating them, or getting ready to update them. Some of them, C and I went through one the other day, and just we're doing nothing that follows the ordinance. So either we have to change the ordinance to adapt to what we're doing, or change what we're doing to fit the ordinance. So having someone who's interested in once every 3 months taking an ordinance, going through, looking at what it says compared to what we're doing. Parking, I think is a big one. So can we have more parking if what we're doing permits, so on and so forth. Communication, how best can we communicate? So those are the 4 I came up with quickly. I think maybe the board can think of some more, or maybe these are enough right now. At the next meeting, really talk about who might be interested, in good fits, kind of in these roles, to give us a wider berth of knowledge of what's happening in the village and how we can make positive change.
Great idea, except for foliage, which next meeting will be too late.
Well, no, if we have someone at the next meeting, then they can observe this foliage season and then help prepare for the next one.
Or you could even make it tourism and
Yeah,
because
Yeah.
we have the issues when wassail comes around, we have,
Yep.
I mean, or like,
I think tourism is probably a better overall title.
yeah, so tourism. And so that's looking at things. And so you go, during this
Mhm.
time of year, we need this, during this time of year, we need this.
Sure.
And can coordinate all those things.
Yes.
And this is how we get people in med season. Are there any other ideas for those sort of groups?
That's a good board to
No,
start.
right now, I think this is good. I mean,
Okay.
I'm sure we'll come up with some more.
Okay, I'll think on it.
It's just past my bedtime and I'll
Yeah,
think
I
it
know.
after that.
Partying too hard. Okay,
Even
Now-
on vacation, I was in bed at 9.
is there any other business to come before the board? Okay, then we'll move on to minutes. I'm looking at you.
I'm depressed. I can't find any errors.
Oh.
Oh.
Okay, well,
Oh, good. You found one? Dave?
Hey.
no, but
Oh.
no, if you're depressed, I was just gonna suggest, Ottaqueechee Health. They may have a pill or two,
Already taken a pill.
Yeah, no. One pill.
or we can take you to Dartmouth Hitchcock and they can hook you up to something. I don't know.
Oh, Nikki, you did an excellent job. Their minutes are kind of short, so, you had a lot of, maybe tonight might be tougher for you. We'll see.
I was gonna say, this might be a longer one.
Yes,
Yes,
exactly.
I think
Yeah.
so.
No, job well done, Nikki. I found nothing. Maybe someone else.
I find anything.
A plus plus.
Okay, well then I would make a motion to approve the minutes from 8/21/23 and 8/22/23. Is there a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
I second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
You.
Did you?